Chapter 554, World of Sun and Moon 5. We arrive in Yinghua and visit the cultivator faction that rules Yinghua, the Jin royal family. As someone at the Qi building stage, I receive an exceptionally hospitable welcome, looking down at the mortals being prosperously governed under the Jin clan's rule. Haha. Providing mortals with high-quality breeding environments is the duty of cultivators. They are decent workers, excellent laborers, and, occasionally, among them emerge individuals who possess spiritual roots, making them assets that cannot be ignored. Flying across various parts of Yinghua governed by the Jin clan, I listen to the explanations given by their envoy. Jiang'ai seems bored, but I pay close attention to his words while flying across this strangely familiar land on a flying magic artifact. This is Lianshan city of Yinghua, which borders Biokra. Suddenly, my gaze narrows as I look at Lianshan city under the Jin clan's rule. Haha, burn it, pillage it. The Jin clan envoy, watching the scene, grits his teeth with an ashamed expression. Ahem, I must apologize to our Qi building distinguished guests. It is shameful to show you such a disgraceful scene of livestock fighting amongst themselves. I will ensure that the person in charge of this city is held accountable. For now, let's put aside the quarrel among the livestock and proceed to the next city. The next city, you say? Are you just going to leave them like that? I narrow my eyes as I watch the bandits pillaging a small village outside the city. Wouldn't it be better to deal with them right now? Look, the mortals are being plundered. Ahem. It seems our guest is greatly displeased. My apologies. I will handle this immediately. Clicking his tongue, the Jin clan envoy waves his hand. Since he is at the great perfection Qi refining stage, with just a wave of his hand, the bandit group known as the Tuho Gang is instantly incinerated into piles of ash. A with diaresis sense B. Qualok. F fire. Fire is raining down. Boss. Boss. Damn it, boss. Stop taking drugs and wake up. Snap out of it. We're all gonna die? We're all gonna die. I look down at the hairy man in the center of the bandit group, the one referred to as their boss. The man, watching the rain of fire destroy them, mutters despondently. Truly pain. This world is nothing but pain. Horroric. With those final words, the leader of the Tuho gang is pitifully burned to death. Wawa. Immortals. The immortals have delivered heavenly punishment upon those vile bandits. From the flying artifact, I watch the villagers who have been pillaged by the Toho gang cheering below. Among them is a couple holding a baby. The baby, perhaps startled by the rain of fire just moments ago, begins to cry loudly. Hey, Mr. Jew, quiet your daughter. That's right. How is it proper to let her cry like that after the immortals saved us? For some reason, I feel my gaze drawn to that couple and their baby. A faint headache brushes through my mind. I wave a small gesture of greeting to the couple and their child. Immediately after, we move on to visit other cities under the guidance of the Jin clan envoy. Under the rule of the Jin clan's royal family, Yinghua remains peaceful. Kewa, if you marry me, I'll make you happy. Let's get married. Get lost, you oaf. I'll stab you. In a rural village, I watch adolescent boys and girls playing a game of tag. A girl named Kewa irritably threatens a large boy chasing her with something like an awl. I'm going to catch a handsome young master and marry him. Do you think I'd marry a big oaf like you? Kewa, don't be like that. Ugh, seriously. Stop bothering me already. Watching the two run around peacefully, I feel a sense of warmth in my heart. At the same time, I also feel an inexplicable headache and a chilling sensation wash over me. In any case, having toured all of Yinghua, I finally leave after being treated with great hospitality. Before long, Jiang'ai and I arrived in Shengzi. During the 3 months it took to travel from Biokra, where the Chongmun clan resides, to Shengzi, my cultivation realm has leapt forward, reaching the mid-Qi building stage. With the identity plaques we received from the Chongmun clan and the Jin clan, we should have no trouble entering. To think I would be the servant of a slave like you. You are not thinking of using this status of a servant to issue some cruel order for me to massage your shoulders, are you? Don't you enjoy massaging my shoulders? What I enjoy is poking your shoulders and watching you squirm. But if you order me to massage them properly, then I would have to obey and massage them, would I not? So that's not really a cruel order, is it? We stay as guests of the Jinlu clan, one of the factions ruling Shengzi, while waiting for the right time to join the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. The head of the Jinlu clan, Jinlu Yunxion, has already received an introduction letter about us from Chongmun Yungjin, the head of the Chongmun clan. Perhaps because of this, she treats us with extraordinary hospitality. Since you've come with a recommendation letter from Chongmun Orabioni, and because the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect has a strong relationship with our clan, we will do our utmost to help you join. I am deeply grateful for your kindness. Thus, we spend about 4 months at the Jinlu clan, preparing to enter the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. 4 months later. In that time, I have reached the late Qi building stage. Leaving behind Jinlu Yunxion, who treated us so well, I am finally selected as an inner disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, which was Zhang's goal. To think you've reached the late Qi building stage before even hitting 60. At this rate, you'll definitely reach the core formation stage. No, you might even aim for the nascent soul stage. One of the elders of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect chuckles while patting around my body. Welcome to our Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect as an inner disciple. In this way, thanks to my astonishingly fast cultivation progress, which is unusual for my age, I am admitted into the sect without needing to undergo a formal entrance exam. This worked out really well, didn't it? It seems that way. Now then, all we need to do is continue raising our realm while waiting for that someone you're looking for, right? I suppose so. Jiang. What is it? I look at Jiang and speak. You once told me that the someone you are after is an ancient monster who has lived for 10,000 years. And you also told me that this monster is such a terrifying existence that if you ever end up fighting it, I should run away no matter what. But after spending all this time with you, I've been thinking. With a serious expression, I continue. My cultivation is rising at an unbelievable pace right now. Of course, I'm still weaker than you, who's only at the first star of Qi refining, but I'm stronger than others in the same realm as me. So, I'm going to keep advancing my realm. And one day, I'll become as strong as you. I'll become strong, and when the day comes that you have to fight that monster, I'll fight alongside you. What? I'm going to fight with you. I won't run away, because I feel slightly embarrassed. You've become someone precious to me. Jiang stares at me blankly for a long moment. Thwack. Then she slaps my hand away coldly and speaks with a frosty gaze. Do not misunderstand. I have no intention of reproducing with you. I have been entrusted with a great mission, and someday I must return beyond the heavens. Then I'll raise my realm and go with you. How about that? Jiang suddenly speaks with a calm gaze. It is a calm, deeply settled gaze I've never seen from her before. Cannot cherish you. It is not that I dislike you, but the path you and I walk are different. Starting with the fact that you use the way of salt, there are just too many aspects in which we are incompatible. Above all, I cannot treat emotions as anything more than tools. Up until now, I have made jokes with you, but all of that is merely part of my mask. Jiang strokes her mask as she speaks. I know, we are all the same. For us, possessing emotions is an evil sin that harms our very essence. Among all the beings in the 3,000 great thousand worlds, we must be the most fair and make the most correct decisions. That is why we absolutely cannot have emotions. If your desire to follow me is not because you are inspired by our ideology, but because of some emotional attachment, then I will not stay with you. Do you have anything else to say? Jiang. I call out to her in a warm voice, and for some reason, her body flinches at my call. I'm sorry, I don't really know much about ideologies. But what's important is, you've become someone precious to me. So, I will try my best in my own way to stand on the same level as you. Just know that. How pitiful. Effort is a pitiful approach. It cannot be effort, but fate for me to accept it. If it is not an absolute truth of the heavens determined from birth, but that kind of pitiful method, you will never be able to follow me. Just know that. After finishing her words, Jiang turns around and heads deep into my cave residence. For a moment, I watch her retreating figure, then let out a small sigh and begin practicing the basic lightning path method provided by the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. In this way, another 10 years pass. Congratulations, Jiang. Are you mocking me right now? Jiang has, finally, reached the second star of the Qi refining stage, and I am now in the grand perfection nascent soul stage. Soon, I will be facing the heavenly being stage. Still, 1 star every 10 years isn't bad. It's a steady climb, right? Besides, I still can't beat you. Of course, even if you reach the heavenly being stage, you cannot defeat me. Though her cultivation is only at the second star of Qi refining, Jiang's pure martial prowess can arguably be called the strongest in this world. Not even the Dragon King of the Sea Dragon race, that rules the Black Wind Sea in the south, Dragon King Zhan Yang, nor the Eastern King who dominates the east, Monli Minlap, nor the Northern King who rules the north, Wu Riang, nor the sect leader of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect that governs the west, Jin Heimin. None of them, who have reached the grand perfection heavenly being stage, seem capable of defeating Jiang. Schwiring. She manipulates several flying swords with basic spells, gently stroking the blades. Jiang is a sword cultivator, but she is not just a sword cultivator. She wields all weapon-type magic artifacts and dharma treasures with a transcendental divine authority. I have seen her flying swords before. Her flying swords were less like swords and more like intercontinental ballistic missiles from Earth, boasting immense destructive power. By the way, have you still not found the someone you mentioned? Do not worry. As my cultivation slowly rises, my memories are returning. Most likely, that old monster is hiding in disguise as a human. Once my memories fully return, I will be able to find and capture that monster in human disguise. I see. Now, only 2 stages remain. Once she reaches the 4th star of Qi refining, she said she will fully capture the monster and leave this world. I need to raise my realm even faster. I will raise my cultivation even more quickly, and I will follow her. Together, we will go to that world full of light where she says she came from. Another 19 years pass. It has been 49 years since I came to this world. Is there anyone who objects to the appointment of Seo Eunhyun as the sect leader of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect? There are none. 49 years since I've come to this world. By now, I have reached the grand perfection heavenly being stage and have comprehended the enlightenment of the 4-axis stage. If not for the dimensional pressure of this world, I would have already reached the 4-axis stage. On top of that, since I am stronger than others of the same realm, my actual combat power is effectively at the late 4-axis stage. I smile with satisfaction as I look at myself, who has now become one of the strongest. I hereby appoint you as this generation's sect leader of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. To the ancestral tablets, we shall offer our respects. In front of the former sect leader, now the supreme head, Jin Heimin, I smile with more pride than ever. To be honest, the position of sect leader of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect doesn't mean much to me. For some reason, it doesn't stir much excitement deep in my heart. What I am truly proud of is that my actual combat power is now at the late 4-axis stage. Finally, at last, I have reached a level that is more or less similar to Jiang'ai. Jiang'ai is currently at the 3rd star of Qi refining. To be precise, she is at grand perfection 3rd star of Qi refining. Soon, she too will reach 4th star and recover her memories. Her realm will probably advance rapidly, and she will grow even stronger. When that happens, she will quickly regain her original realm, and we will ascend together. We will ascend together, and I will follow her. Having reached the 3rd star of the Qi refining stage, she says she has recovered quite a bit of her memory. Of course, she also says that she hasn't recovered even a fraction of her true original memories yet. But even so, the memories she has regained are still memories. She has grown much stronger and even more dignified. As I proceed with the ceremony for becoming the sect leader, I glance behind me. The disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, who have been with me for the past 20 years. Together with them as well. We will ascend as a group, with Jiang'ai them, and I. Together with her, we will go to the world of light. I'll follow you, Jiang'ai, because you are precious to me. After completing the sect leader inauguration ceremony, I glanced towards the cave residence where Jiang'ai resides. She had confidently assured me that by the time my ceremony is over, she too will have reached the 4th star of Qi refining. So, after she reaches the 4th star of Qi refining, finds the old monster she has been searching for, and kills it, we will be together. With those hopeful thoughts for the future, I follow Jin Heimin towards the ancestral shrine where the ancestral tablets are enshrined. Bow before the Golden Divine, and this one here, and over here, this one is Elder Jin Byako. I bow in front of the many ancestral tablets, following his lead. That's when it happens. Suddenly, I notice an extremely familiar name among the ancestral tablets. 6 Extremes Ghost King, Jin Myung-hoon. This person was expected to bring the sect to its greatest revival after the Golden Divine, and is one of the middle ancestors of the sect, the great master Jin Myung-hoon. Pay your respects. However, I cannot kneel, because the portrait of Jin Myung-hoon is identical to that of someone I know, John Myung-hoon. It's John Myung-hoon, one of my colleagues from work. In confusion and dismay, I bow towards John Myung-hoon's portrait and ancestral tablet. What's going on? Why is John Myung-hoon there? Could it be that the reason I couldn't find John Myung-hoon is because he fell into this world 10,000 years ago? Did all my other colleagues fall into this world too, but each at different points in time? Various thoughts race through my mind, but when I see the next ancestral tablet, I feel an inexplicable blankness wash over me. And this person is... They are my own portrait. And my name. Come to think of it, the way they look, and even their name. It's just like you. Ha ha ha, Seo Eunhyun. Could it be that you are this person's reincarnation? Ah ha ha. The Supreme Sect Master laughs heartily, glancing back and forth between the portrait with my face and me. I swallow dryly, feeling dumbfounded, and bow before my own portrait and ancestral tablet. What in the world is going on? This place is a shrine that only the sect leaders can enter, where the ancestral tablets and portraits of all past sect leaders of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect are enshrined. The portraits displayed here are not recorded in the sect's general historical records. So when I heard there was a middle ancestor named Seo Eunhyun, I dismissed it as a coincidence of having the same name. But upon seeing the portrait, I am so shocked that I can't help but fall into confusion. Ziying. And at that moment, the headache that has intermittently tormented me for the past 49 years strikes with extreme intensity. It hurts. More than ever before. It hurts so much. Even when I inhaled the venomous mist from the two-headed snake on Ascension Path. Even when I played a prank on Jiang and was hung upside down and beaten. Even when I electrocuted myself while practicing the lightning path method of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. None of it was as painful as this headache. It hurts. But I can't show it. I have to endure. Right now, I'm bowing to the ancestors of the sect. Finally, when I step away from Xiao Eunhyun's portrait and arrive at the one next to it. As I look at that portrait, I feel my headache worsen, and a deep ache stirs from deep within my chest. This is Elder Yunwei. This person was. Before Jin Heimin can even finish his words, I bow towards her ancestral tablet. At that exact moment, the headache becomes even more intense, and a profound sense of fulfillment blossoms in my chest. So that's it. Now, I finally understand. I have come to this world for this exact moment. Zee thriving. An overwhelming pain crashes through my mind, and I lift my upper body to look up at Yunwei. It's been a while, Elder Yunwei. Through the headache, I smile. At last, I remember. The first day I fell into Ascension Path. That moment, when it felt like I had been dreaming a long, long dream. The contents of that dream now start swirling faintly in my mind. I am Xiao Eunhyun, and I have come to this world to bow before my dear past connections, who are slumbering in the head realm. Not as a split soul, but to pay my respects with my true soul. Kururum. Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, Shattered Heaven Peak. Inside Xiao Eunhyun's cave residence. There, Jiang, who holds the position of Xiao Eunhyun's servant, half opens her eyes. In a dry, emotionless tone, she mutters briefly. At last, I've regained my memories. Then, she lifts her gaze towards the top of Shattered Heaven Peak and speaks again with a chillingly emotionless voice. And at last, I've found you. Xiao Eunhyun. Radiance 8 Immortals. 5th seat. The entity presiding over the symbol of Jiang, Gung, of the 10 heavenly stems. The sword spear Heavenly Lord opens her eyes halfway and raises her sword. I will capture you. The one who creates miracles in the world and forges a path to the heavens. As she rises, the entire Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect hums and vibrates. The one who allows the unchosen to reach the heavens. However, even though she has found her purpose, why is it? The sword spear Heavenly Lord's gaze does not appear joyous. Ender. Chapter 555, World of Sun and Moon 6. With this, all the purposes for coming to the head realm are resolved. What are you saying, Xiao Eunhyun? In this sacred place where the ancestral tablets are enshrined, Chongmun clan might be better off staying in the head realm. However, I don't think you should. That is because you are descendants of the Golden Divine Yang Su Jin. What? How dare you? Jin Heimin. I extend my hand towards the enraged Jin Heimin. The headache I've been feeling for some time, the déjà vu, and this inexplicable, chilling sensation. It's been a while. Beings I had undoubtedly seen before. Indeed, these are definitely the same as the ones I had encountered before. Their names and appearances are identical, and even their spirits are the same. The only one who isn't the same is just one. Excluding that being, I pull all the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect into the range of my attraction force and exert my strength. Kaduduk. The space seems to distort, and all the buildings of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect are simultaneously uprooted. At the same time, countless members of the sect are lifted into the air. Even those who were dispatched far away to various places in the head realm are no exception. Any being affiliated with the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is lifted into the air without exception and drawn towards me. Pat. Countless disciples and buildings of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect are plucked from the land of the head realm, passing through the inside of my sleeve and entering my body. It with circumflex and badios. Kagugugu. Inside this puppet body of mine, countless disciples and buildings of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect are compressed and absorbed. 7 resist. 5 of them are the heavenly being stage grand elders of the current Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and the Supreme Sect Master Jin Heimin standing before me. Why, you bastard? How is this possible? Could it be that you've become an integration stage grand cultivator? Hello. It reminds me of the nonsense I once spoke to my senior brother. Cook. I clench my fist, amplifying my attraction force and pulling the 6 heavenly being stage cultivators who had resisted into my body as well. Don't worry, Golden Divine. Your descendants, I will ascend them well. I take one glance at Shattered Heaven Peak, the last entity resisting my attraction force. The being I first saw when I came to the head realm. She, who is clearly foreign to this bizarre world. What should I do about you? The person who became precious to me after spending decades with me when I had lost my memories. But at the same time, the most dangerous being to me. But Duke. From beneath shattered heaven peak, a resplendently brilliant silver-white light burst forth, distorting the space. Along with the distorted space, she takes one step towards me. Quong. With just one step of her ox step technique, no fa. The surrounding space twists violently, cutting off my path of retreat. A divine authority that is unbelievable for someone merely at the 4th star of the chi refining stage. However, I remain composed and look at her as I speak. Jiang-ah. Jiang-ai does not respond to my words, instead brightening the light emanating from her body even more. Pot. Within the light, I can read her true identity. Light is wisdom. Within that wisdom, a being of silver white is revealed. War and weapons, arms and swords, Jan. The god, Shun, of wisdom in battle. The being who bestows the light of sword and spear, Genji. Radiance 8 immortals. The 5th seat. Sword spear heavenly lord. I see. You are. I read the wisdom emanating from the silver-white light and let out a faint murmur. Chi refining 4th star. So, you were a being who oversees the 10 heavenly stems diagram, Sitingantu, and also presides over the realm of the vestige liberation immortal. I look at her with a face that understands yet doesn't, and ask, Jiang-ah. Do not call this immortal by that name. Wawung. The silver-white light gently illuminates the surroundings from her eyes. The personality of Jiang-ai, who accompanied you, has just died. Quong. At those words, I feel as though my heart has fallen with a thud. This immortal is the sword spear heavenly lord. As I said, the symbol of Jiang, Gung, among the heavenly stems belongs to this immortal, so I will allow the title of Jiang, Gung. However, there is no need for this immortal to answer to the title Jiang-ai. Wu-wung. Above her, energy of the chi refining 4th star gathers. But it is not just ordinary chi refining 4th star energy. Karurum. A magnetic storm. Quajajijic. An overwhelming electromagnetic storm sweeps across the area. Simultaneously, countless buried metals beneath the Great Mountain Range are pulled out, their particles vibrating and melting. The melted metals take on the form of swords and, following the will of the sword spear heavenly lord, aim directly at me. 5th seat of the Radiance 8 immortals, the sword spear heavenly lord, shall arrest you. Ender, here and now. Jiang-ah. I call her with a bitter smile. She coldly looks at me and says, do not call this immortal that. To me, you were someone precious. I wanted to follow you. And so, I once said that if you ever had to fight, I wouldn't run away. Do not call this immortal that. You say that you have died, but you're wrong. Do you remember what you said before? That the heavens are a truth more absolute than death. I don't think so. Even the heavens will someday die. Phenomena extinguishing mantra. Even in the void of nothingness, the heart does not disappear. Thus, death itself is the heart. So, Jiang-ah, even if you consider yourself dead, do not call this immortal that. You are not dead. Didn't you say the earth dies too? That is wrong. Even when a star's lifespan ends, its form changes and becomes one with the universe. It does not completely vanish into external extinction. You, too, have become one with the sword spear heavenly lord, merely changing form. Do not call this immortal that. You are alive. At the very least, within my heart. Ping. A beam of light grazes past me. It is a near miss. I glance at the flying sword that barely missed my head, and then look up at the swords pouring down from the sky. Filling the heavens governing sword, Montan Yurjan. The sky is filled with countless swords. Then, the swords pour down like rain. If I want to avoid that, I'll have to look at the sky. A ploy to make me look directly at the sky of the head realm at all costs. But I won't fall for it so easily. Careeric. Deactivate visual functions. The light disappears from my eyes. I have shut off the sight of this puppet clone. The consciousness domain is no good either. My consciousness domain is already large enough to envelop the entire head realm without issue. I can't help but perceive the sky of the head realm. Thus, the consciousness domain cannot be used, and the same goes for my vision of intent. The senses of the Earth tribe are even worse. In that case, the only option left is Careeric. Expand the sensory circuits inside the puppet body. I quickly expand the circuits within the puppet. It's been a while. Smell, hearing, touch, taste. Countless senses clamor as they read the information of the scene. Late first rate. Fighting with the senses I trained before I became a peak master. Right now, I must fight Jiang-ai with only the human senses I used during my first-rate martial artist days. Tat-it. 1 step. With that single step, I deflect a descending flying sword. 2 steps. In just 2 steps, I traverse an immense distance. Before I know it, I am quite close to Jiang-ai. Jiang-ai grips her sword and points it at me. 3 steps. 3 steps bring me right in front of Jiang's mask, leaning my face towards her. Twerk. The colorless glass sword that has become one with my very will by now blazes in my hand. Up, down, left, right, front, back. Flying swords come at me from 6 directions. Severing heaven's sword form. Entering heaven. The puppet's physical body overloads. Heaven and earth's spiritual energy surges through the circuits, seeming to overheat them, and amplifies my strength. Taking 1 step forward, I swing my sword from the lower left to the upper right, cutting forward. The flying sword in front of me and the one to my right are both deflected, and I take another step forward. Jiang's face draws closer. Hot. Flying swords that had been shooting from above and below narrowly graze past me from behind. Now only 2 remain, one to the left, one behind me. And Jiang, who takes a stance to thrust at me. Chwak. 3 steps. Lowering my stance and extending one leg forward, I shake Jiang's stance and, like a coiled spring, launch my body while driving my sword towards her. Kong. She swiftly shifts from a thrusting stance to an upward slash, parrying my sword. But I use the impact to propel myself backward. As I spin around, I smash the sword coming from my rear, then spin once more to deflect the sword on my left. We each take a single breath, replenishing our spiritual energy, and charge at each other again. Countless profound truths of the sword unfold between us. As the speed of our swords increases, time slows, and my senses expand. No short-term foresight, nor historical reading is possible. Unable to utilize even the privilege of the heart tribe to see intent, I focus solely on my senses as I trade moves with her. 3 thrusts erupt from Jiang's hands. The air ripples, sending shockwaves that shake the surroundings. Reading the grains of the air through touch, I find the perfect opening and pierce towards it, drawing closer to her. I can read it. This battle with her is not merely physical combat. From the sky, flying swords rain down endlessly. Every time the swords that boast destructive power akin to intercontinental ballistic missiles fall, an entire mountain range is reduced to ruins. The principle behind Jiang's flying sword technique is simple. She levitates flying swords high in the sky. Then, she reinforces the swords with sword energy and uses the 1,000-gene weight technique to accelerate their fall. After manipulating the tips of the swords and aligning the coordinates carefully, she lets the suspended swords descend. As a result, the swords accelerate under gravity, turning into unstoppable weapons that strike with the force of divine judgment. Quang. Near Shattered Heaven Peak, an entire mountain summit melts and explodes. I weave through the trajectories of the projectiles, performing a sword dance. Simple. Dozens of flying swords swarm fiercely around me, but the wastefulness is extreme. Entire landscapes are torn apart, yet I alone cannot be caught. She speaks. I cannot use anything too complicated right now. Trying to attempt it is meaningless. This is her response after I point out the simple principle behind her flying sword technique. She noticed. For some time now, I have been preparing to use the immortal art impermanent sword, but I cannot use it. In the head realm, no one can use immortal arts. But Xiao Huiol managed to do so. Let me rephrase. No one can achieve what they desire in the head realm through immortal arts. All immortal arts used in the head realm end in failure. They all end in failure. Jiang's sword scrapes my ribs 3 times, and my sword severs a tendon in her wrist once. Chwak. With shallow wounds inflicted on each other, we step back. Quang. One of Jiang's flying swords narrowly burrows into the ground right next to me. It's a battle of instants. Even though Jiang uses power equivalent to the 4th star of the Qi refining stage, I have to use all of my 4-axis stage spiritual power just to defend against her attacks, relying solely on the colorless glass sword for offense. Aside from Shattered Heaven Peak, the foundation where the golden divine heavenly thunder sect once stood has turned into a sea of lava. I see. Thanks for letting me know, Jiang. Jiang exhales heavily. The hand holding her sword trembles faintly. Do not call this immortal, that. She screams as if wailing. Behind her mask, her silver-white eyes are bloodshot. This immortal is the being who occupies the seat of Jiang, the sword spear heavenly lord. Do not call me, Jiang, as if we are friends. How many times must I tell you? The Jiang you knew is dead. Dead. Do not insult me. This immortal planned to capture you, refine you, and annihilate your soul to turn only your immortal body into an immortal treasure. Because you Enders are beings who stand directly opposed to the ideology of Radiance Hall. Radiance Hall is your enemy. So why? Why do you treat this immortal so familiarly? Why, you ask, Jiang? Well, I stroke the colorless glass sword and smile. The trembling I feel from your sword clearly shows you enjoy being called that, no? Someone once told me this, that the emotions of people are nothing more than the trembling of air entering the lungs. Back then, I didn't agree. But someone else argued against that statement on my behalf. The lungs are metal, Jin, and metal, Jin, is Qian, Chan heaven. Thus, the trembling of the lungs is ultimately the will of the heavens. I feel it. The swordplay of sword spear cannot properly aim at me. The will of the heavens. I don't particularly like the heavens. Rather, I despise it. But even so, I am grateful to the heavens. Because after all, the connections that make up who I am now, those connections were ultimately granted by the heavens. I approach Jiang'ai. She takes her stance, and I raise the colorless glass sword. A single glass sword. Tens of millions of flying swords. The army of flying swords swarms toward me, and I cut through them with the glass sword as I approach Jiang'ai. As such, you, Jiang'ai, a connection granted by the heavens, are precious to me. You once said that the heavens are the absolute truth, didn't you? Then the reason your swordplay is trembling must also lie with the heavens. The distance between us closes. Finally, I break through the waves of countless swords and reach right in front of her. She raises her sword. I grip my sword with both hands and lower my waist. She swings downward, and I swing upward. The iron sword and the glass sword collide. Neither sword breaks, bends, nor shatters. However, the one sent flying is her sword. Surung. I point my sword at her neck. Accept it, Jiang'ai. Your emotions are no longer just tools, are they? Do you truly want to kill me? Not because it's your mission, but because your heart genuinely wants to kill me. The wind brushes between us. For a while, neither of us speak. Then, the voice that speaks first comes from Jiang'ai's side. The way you package your plea to be spared is impressive. Chills. Damn it. I make a bitter smile and swing the glass sword with all my strength towards her neck. Kang. But I feel the sword bounce back with absurd recoil. Keying. She's at best only at the 4th star of Qi refining. Yet, around her, the spiritual power of the 4th star of Qi refining gathers densely, forming an absurd structure of spiritual energy that deflects my sword. Exchanging swords with you has brought back quite a bit of my memory. Even though the strength I possess is limited, what I can use are the spells and immortal arts corresponding to this cultivation realm. Just the two. However, while immortal arts cannot be used in this place, with the proper use of the spells of this realm, they can unleash extreme power. Whine. As she raises her hand, faint spiritual energy begins to spin around it. But I see an enormous force being born within that rotation and step back. For those like us, who understand the principles of nature, even weak spells can be used to wield authority corresponding to the world's principles. A tiny sun rises in her palm, splitting the nucleus? And no, this is something even more fundamental than that. Your sweet words were almost convincing. I even felt a fleeting illusion that my chest was trembling. But it was from the very beginning, was it not? From the very beginning, you used sword cries to vibrate the tip of my sword, which then gradually encroached even my physical reactions and induced a response of trembling in me. This immortal nearly fell for it. This immortal almost believed that my chest was truly shaking for you. She figured it all out. Through severing mountain swordsmanship's mountain echoes valley responds, I made the sword spear Heavenly Lord's swordplay tremble. Through that resonance, I made her lungs tremble and even vibrated her brain, trying to temporarily amplify her emotions. What a shallow trick. The will of the heavens? Huh. Is that what you call the will of the heavens? People, by their very nature, merely strive to approach the will of the heavens with their own strength, even if it burns them to death in the process. How arrogant. Those who have followed the lineage of salt have always been like this. Then, burned to death. Why Yang? In her hand, the nuclear fission bomb created from basic spells begins to detonate. Stop. If you use that, all living beings in the head realm will die. This isn't just a simple problem of destructive power. The overwhelming power of light emanating from within it. That's right. The power of radiation is writhing, ready to destroy the world. But she merely mutters in a dry tone with indifferent eyes. This is a world that becomes perfectly fine again once you exit and re-enter, no matter how many times it is destroyed. There is no need for someone like you to worry, so just obediently, close your eyes. Pat it. An even more blinding light bursts forth from above her hand. Immortal arts. I need to use immortal arts. Please, activate. I try to draw forth the power of my heart to activate immortal arts, but it does not respond. I grit my teeth. Just why? Why does this activate, but not for other immortal arts? Even if I fail, please, just activate. All my focus gathers in the hand holding the colorless glass sword. At the same time, I reopen the eyes of the puppet clone whose visual functions I had disabled. At that moment, Sarek. Huh. A woman dressed in white gently places her hand over mine, together gripping the colorless glass sword. Originally, the functions of the remaining 650 colorless glass swords were intended to hold the ability to record our time together. It's regrettable that we couldn't complete it together. But if it's you, her words trail off. However, I understand as I look into her eyes. So it's already complete. The function of the colorless glass sword is. With all my might, I thrust the colorless glass sword towards Jiang'ai. Puckwhack. Is it arrogance, belonging to one who resides in a realm far higher than mine? Or is it an expression of will, declaring that she will destroy me here no matter what happens to her body? Even as my sword pierces her stomach, she looks at me with dry, emotionless eyes. However, the power of the canvas of myriad forms and connections flows into the colorless glass sword. Jiang'ai's eyes widen. Why? It's been far too long since I last used it properly, but there is actually another function of the colorless glass sword. It is precisely to amplify emotions. And, according to the words of Bu Qianghua's vision that just surfaced, the function of the remaining 650 swords originally intended to be added were meant for recording the years spent with me. In other words, the original function of the colorless glass sword is to recall memories. However, even with 3,000 swords instead of 3,650, this ability is already complete through the canvas of myriad forms and connections. From the colorless glass sword imbued with the canvas of myriad forms and connections, memories of my 49 years with Jiang are embedded. The emotions contained within those memories are amplified to their peak. The sword spear Heavenly Lord. Jiang's pupils shrink sharply. It's the truth that I did manipulate your trembling through Mountain Echo's valley response. But what I did was amplify your emotions, not create emotions that didn't exist. Her pupils begin to shake uncontrollably. Thank you, Jiang. With those words, her spell destabilizes and is eventually cancelled. Chwack. I slash deeply across her upper body and retrieve the colorless glass sword. Then, I quickly fly toward the Ascension Gate. You. Behind me, her scream laced with rage echoes, and an endlessly accelerating flying sword begins to pursue me. If I get struck by that flying sword in this situation where I can't use other immortal arts, I absolutely will not get out unscathed. However, I smile faintly as I rapidly cross Xingzi, Yinghua, Biokra, and the heaven-treading desert, finally arriving at Ascension Path. The flying sword follows right behind my back, but fails to shoot me down. Before long, I see the Ascension Gate ahead. Although it is closed, at that level, I can just tear it open. Quick! With a sweep of my arm, the Ascension Gate is torn away by my attraction force, opening wide. Tat-it! I stop in front of the Ascension Gate. Normally, the flying sword chasing me should have skewered me right then and dragged me back to Jiang'ai. However, the flying sword halts in place, floating in midair without shedding even a single drop of my blood. Thank you, Jiang'ai. When did it begin? I don't know the exact moment. But at some point, she became precious to me, and I became somewhat precious to her. And so, in the end, her heart, which she only regarded as a tool, began to hold me as something precious. Even if you are said to be dead, I won't forget you. You will live forever within me. Stay well, Jiang'ai. After finishing my words, I leap through the Ascension Gate before Jiang'ai. The sword spear Heavenly Lord can regain her composure. All immortal arts used within the head realm fail, you say? That too was a lie, wasn't it, Jiang'ai? Pat it. As I leave the head realm, my memories begin to return. The immortal arts I used as I entered the head realm were two: Wheel and the Impermanence swords filling the heavens governing view. Originally, it is true that I had placed my split soul within, but immediately after entering the head realm, I used the Will to rewrite it, switching the positions of my true soul and split soul. I had hoped that by rewriting, within the head realm, the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag embedded in my main soul could be transferred to my split soul through the peculiarities of the head realm. But in the end, the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag still remains within me. However, perhaps because my strategy seems to have shown some effect, I've managed to half-break free from the restrictions of the 7th star of Qi refining. I haven't completely broken free from the restrictions of the 7th star of Qi refining yet, but even this much should be a great help. In any case, if one of the immortal arts I used upon entering the head realm was the Wheel, the other was filling the heavens governing view. It is a technique that turns the target into a failure through the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Using that filling the heavens governing view, I continually caused myself to fail in recalling my memories and authority, effectively sealing myself. That seal remained intact for a total of 49 years, allowing me to maintain my sanity even in the head realm. Perhaps the reason Jiang'ai was unable to recall the memories of the sword spear Heavenly Lord, or continued to fail in advancing to the 1st star of Qi refining, was due to being unconsciously affected by filling the heavens governing view while staying with me. Even within the head realm, my immortal art continuously activated without fail. In short, Jiang's words had been a lie. Stay well, Jiang'ai. I am leaving. And so, leaving behind another connection that formed with me, Jiang-I. Leaving the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord behind, I ascend from the head realm. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord clutches her chest, letting out a scream. Awa. Light is wisdom. Because of this, as she reads the light of the head realm, she can read the history of the head realm to some extent with the power of a heaven immortal. And in her vision, a scene from the past is reflected. The moment when Xiao Unhyun saw the bare face of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. You saw my face, Xiao Unhyun. For some reason, she is crying. So that is why to you. Kadudaduk. She clenches the earth with her hand wrapped in bandages. Her handprint is left on the ground. You truly torment me so much. After seeing my face, after spending so much time with me, you flee? So nonchalantly, you fly far away? She looks up at the sky and sheds tears. I, from now on, must kill you without fail. Kaguguguk. She inhales deeply. Just moments ago, she had told Xiao Unhyun one lie. While all immortal arts are said to fail in the head realm, there is an exception. Immortal arts, permitted by light, are excluded from that rule. Therefore, for the Radiant 8 immortals, each time one descends, the number of immortal arts that can be used in the head realm increases. What she has used in the head realm so far is a secret art created by Radiance Hall. It is called Immortal Art, Shansu, Spiritual Roots, Lingyin. Through this immortal art, which grants and retrieves spiritual roots from all beings of all phenomena, she has been striving to quickly elevate her realm even a day faster to carry out the tasks assigned to her. The missions entrusted to her by Radiance Hall are two. First, the capture of the vile Xiao Unhyun, hailed as the return of the vast, cold Heavenly Lord. Second, the investigation of the ascension status of the current generation's enders. Both are possible in the Sun and Moon heavenly domain, but they are most directly achievable in the head realm. This is because the Golden Divine decreed the fates of enders to gather at Shattered Heaven Peak of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect within the head realm, and in Ascension Path, there is something sealed that reveals the ascension status of the enders. But in any case, to accomplish these two missions, advancing her cultivation quickly within the head realm was essential. Thus, the original plan of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord was to recover all her memories in one day, raise her cultivation to the Heavenly Being stage in another day, and then complete her missions. However, for some reason, an error arose in the plan. Gather heaven and earth spiritual energy. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord opens her mouth. But no heaven and earth spiritual energy gathers around her, who possesses the 5 elements spiritual roots. She stares at the sky with vacant eyes. An error occurred in the immortal art of Radiance Hall? That cannot be. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord mutters in a pained voice as she claws at her chest, tormented by the emotions created by Xiao Unhyun. Myong Wu must be toying with me. The sunlight of the head realm reflects in her eyes. Does this mean I must purely cultivate in the orthodox method to leave? It will take 1,000 years. Fine, wait 1,000 years, Xiao Unhyun. I will leave, and I will surely. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord grits her teeth. Clutching her chest, she sheds tears. Kill you. She drops to her knees and bows her head. Is it perhaps because she used emotions as tools? Or is it because she has not experienced emotions much before? The emotions infected by the power of the colorless glass sword completely engulf and devour her. Life is despair. Despairing that she has come to like someone, yet must ultimately kill them with her own hands. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord cries her heart out on the spot. Pat it. Before I know it, the familiar interdimensional void comes into view. And I see my main body within the interdimensional void. Pat it. Merging with the split soul I had left in the interdimensional void, I open my eyes. Then, Hong Fan, who has been waiting for me for 49 years, appears. Have you been well, Hong? Jack. Hong Fan slaps me across the face. Hong Fan glares at me with a furious expression I have never seen from him before. It's Hong Fan, who has never once shown such anger before. Do you have any idea how worried I was? The head realm. Did you enter the head realm with the body of a true immortal? Have you gone mad? Do you not know that the head realm is dangerous for true immortals? Do you not know that you all must not enter the head realm? He lashes out at me in fury. Did you even think about how anxious, how uneasy those who were waiting for you might have been? Is charging in without consulting your subordinate, me, an appropriate attitude for a master? Please answer me. I am sorry. Still, thanks to filling the heavens governing view, I was fine. What if filling the heavens governing view was not there? What if filling the heavens governing view? What if filling the heavens governing view failed to activate? What would you have done then? Hong Fan rages at me out of concern for my safety, and I accept his anger with a bitter smile. I'm sorry. I had no choice. After breathing heavily for a while, Hong Fan lets out a sigh. As long as you have returned safely, it is fine. Did you get everything you wanted? Yes. I even gained an unexpected enlightenment. Thanks to it, I could reflect on what life is once again. Hong Fan quietly looks at me, and I look at him with a smile. Life is metal Jin. Pardon. Metal, I mean. Metal, Jin, is both the heaven of the 8 trigrams and the trembling within the lungs. Life is undoubtedly something we build, but there are undoubtedly aspects of it that are given. I speak as I leap across the vast expanse of space with Hong Fan. I have gained everything I sought. Now, let's confirm just a few more things and move on. I have confirmed the memories with old connections, partially lifted the restrictions of the Northern Dipper Sealing Immortal Flag, and reaffirmed the ominousness of the Head Realm. And I have also concluded my relationship with my new connection, Jiang-I. What remains is, the true Immortal of Light may soon emerge from the Head Realm, so let's hurry and leave. I'll tell you the rest on the way. After confirming a few remaining connections in the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain, quickly escaping to the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain before the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord emerges, I leap across the distant expanse of space while watching Hong Fan sigh with a drained expression. Chapter 556, World of Sun and Moon 7. After returning my true soul to my main body, I inform Gold Shaking Bird, Hong Fan, and Yeo Y of our destination. First, I'll confirm old connections in each of the middle realms, and then head straight to the Lightning Sacred Sea. As you wish. I have no objections. Hong Fan still seems a bit curt, perhaps harboring lingering resentment over my earlier reckless actions. On the other hand, Gold Shaking Bird appears inexplicably overjoyed. Yeo Y, having seemingly been refined into an immortal treasure by Gold Shaking Bird, rests quietly within my body, only letting out soft sounds of why. It seems none of them have faced significant problems over the last 49 years that I quickly send split souls to 4 of the 5 middle realms, excluding the Purple Gold Realm. Ancient Force Realm, Sea King Hall. I see a familiar face there. It has been a while, Sacred Master Hei Lin. Hei Lin locks eyes with my split soul and lets out a deep sigh. You've now come as a senior. It feels like just yesterday I was chasing after you to appoint you as my successor. Even so, I still remember the grace you showed me when I was chanting the phenomena extinguishing mantra in complete ignorance and concealed me in the deep sea to evade the eyes and ears of the savage mountain divine spirit. When I bring up the phenomena extinguishing mantra, he clears his throat awkwardly, seemingly embarrassed. Back then, I thought you only intended to destroy the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. Please allow me to apologize for my misunderstanding. There's no need. If it had been me, and I saw a madman recklessly chanting a mantra capable of destroying the universe without any explanation, I would have likely lashed out and tried to kill them as well. At the time, the phenomena extinguishing mantra was used to borrow the attraction force of the universe's end to scatter, filling the heavens governing view across the world. However, explaining its principles would have required explaining the wisdom of the Great Mountain Supreme Deity and the Salt Sea Supreme Deity, so I refrained from doing so. Of course, it also served as a smokescreen to distract the 5 sacred masters of the middle realms. While they were preoccupied, I set up the true starting point for properly activating filling the heavens governing view without even Co Huil noticing. In any case, the incident back then was largely my fault. Hei Lin, however, still looks regretful and forms a hand seal. Kurururum. This is, from within the Sea King Hall, a torrent of blue water surges inward. Recognizing its identity, I click my tongue. Clear scale armor? Indeed, it is the clear scale armor that I enveloped over cedarwood painting when I advanced to true immortality. The karmic fire and the seed of vice left behind by Blood Een were reclaimed by the underworld. However, the clear scale armor wasn't retrieved. Since I couldn't let it fall over to Radiance Hall or the Source River, I've been managing it instead. Please accept it. Such generosity, I gratefully accept it. In addition, I will share a portion of the power of Ancient Force as well. Wawoom. Hei Lin divides a portion of the deep sea of the Ancient Force realm and gives it to me. As I look at the whirlpool of countless dimensions within the deep sea, I let out a small sigh. From a true immortal's perspective, this is truly profane. The Ancient Force realm is, quite literally, a world made up of the corpses of countless true immortals. Heaven immortals who failed in their prophecies, forgotten immortal beasts erased from history. The deaths of countless true immortals overflow in the form of the deep sea. At the same time, I see dimensions whose nature is completely indiscernible flickering within the sea. Are these fragments of heavenly domains? Among the fragments in the deep sea, some appear to be pieces that can only be described as remnants of heavenly domains. What on earth is Ancient Force? Ancient force originates entirely from the head realm. Hei Lin explains further. The head realm. I don't know much about it myself, but I've heard it's a place that devours and stores countless worlds and realities. Why such a phenomenon occurs, and what its true nature is, only the truly exalted ones would know. But one thing is certain. All beings who control the plane of qi and walk the pathway of history, when they observe the threads of history, they inevitably perceive threads of lost history among them. And when they connect with those lost histories, through their unique powers, what they gain is ancient force. Through that ancient force, some immortal beasts gain special authorities, some uncover unknown truths, and some are said to acquire seats that were lost long ago. However, the crucial point is this. Anyone who obtains ancient force is said to be able to discern its origin, and the origin of all ancient force is the head realm. As I listen to Hei Lin's words, I once again recall the ominous nature of the head realm. In this world, there are many forgotten histories and disappeared truths, and all those who gather ancient force are, in essence, beings who excavate the truths of forgotten history. Wawoom. Hei Lin rises from his throne, kneels before me, and offers a portion of the deep sea's water. My ancestor, the immortal beast king candidate, and the deputy judge of the netherworld, the ancient force true Lord Hei Niang, once sought to uncover the disgrace of the heavenly venerables trapped within ancient force. To prevent their disgrace from being revealed, 3 heavenly venerables attempted to eradicate my ancestor. However, the original owner of the phenomenon extinguishing mantra, the owner of Salt Mountain, invited my ancestor to the outer sea, persuaded the 3 heavenly venerables, severed the ancient force my ancestor had obtained, and sealed it within the outer sea. Due to this, my ancestor avoided being pursued by the 3 heavenly venerables, and was able to safely enter the service of the imperial venerable. Wawoom. Over the stream of deep sea offered by Hei Lin, certain formulas emerge. There are innumerable hidden truths in this world, and they are deeply tied to the heavenly venerables and the head realm. My ancestor devoted their entire life to uncovering the hidden truths of the world. My ancestor, 500,000 years ago, followed the vast cold heavenly lord, believing that by following, they could uncover the entirety of ancient force. But they were ultimately defeated. The resentment of my ancestor at that time, I, as their descendant, understand better than anyone. Thus, I ask you to accept this. These formulas are, it is an immortal arts that was deliberately hidden from the savage owner of Mountain. This is because that one cannot claim to be the successor of the owner of Salt Mountain. The Salt Sea returning dew jade scattered throughout the ancient force realm is just a degraded version of this immortal art. Salt Sea returning dew jade, Shanhai TL. The salt in the degraded version is the salt in salt crystal, while the salt in the immortal art is the salt in Salt Sea supreme deity. That is the name of the formula rising above the water of the deep sea. The ancient force of my ancestor, which the owner of Salt Mountain sealed in the outer sea. The disgrace of the heavenly venerables was set as coordinates, which this immortal art uses to navigate the outer sea. That is Salt Sea returning dew jade. Please accept it. Accept it, and, after inheriting the sorrowful wish of the owner of Salt Mountain and my ancestor, please uncover the hidden histories in their entirety. Why give this to me? Would it not be better to entrust it to another among the immortal beasts, or to an immortal beast king candidate that is more suitable for it? The fact that you have inherited the will of the owner of Salt Mountain signifies that you are someone with both great nobility and grand aspirations, enough to catch the eye of that being's lingering soul. Among the current candidates for the position of immortal beast king, there is only the savage, mountain god, the sinister black dragon, the foolish supreme tiger, the lustful glass peacock, the small dreaming azure pong, the white-winged heavenly Pegasus, who loathes my ancestor, and the Een ghost black turtle, who cares only for the underworld. That is all. Compared to them, you are a far more suitable immortal beast king candidate than the mountain god. I look at Hei Lin as I absorb the formulas of Salt Sea returning dew jade that he offers. Please, inherit the will of my ancestor. Like so, in the ancient force realm, I receive the formulas of the Salt Sea returning dew jade that symbolize the will of the ancient force true Lord Hei Niang, a portion of the deep sea dimension and the clear scale armor. With that, my meeting in the ancient force realm comes to an end. Kururung. I arrive at a familiar place for the first time in a long while. A violet sky. The writhing devilish energy. The name of this chaotic world is the True Devil Realm. The previous sacred master of the True Devil Realm, Ja-Eum, perished together with Blood Een inside Blood Een. Then, who has succeeded Ja-Eum as sacred master? Interestingly, it is none other than the Salt Sea esteemed one from the ancient force realm, Yuk Jung. It's been a while, senior. Salt Sea esteemed one Yuk Jung looks at me and gives a short greeting. The forces of light are supposedly chasing you or whatever, yet you sure are wandering freely. How did you become the sacred master of the true devil realm? I look at Yuk Jung with a puzzled expression, and he clicks his tongue before replying. Ja-eum, that vile thing, extracted only his soul and embedded it within Blood-een, then dragged both my soul and body and embedded into his flow. It's as if I was forcibly made to inhabit Ja-eum's body. Yuk Jung mutters with a displeased look. Our entire sea dragon race was in truth born from Ja-eum's purple soul filling the heavens. And this esteemed one knew one thing. As long as Ja-eum's purple soul filling the heavens exists, our sea dragon race was essentially a slave race that could at any time be offered as a sacrifice to Blood-een if Ja-eum desired. Even compared to the slave races abused in the bright cold realm, we were far more wretched. From Yuk Jung's mouth comes the history of the sea dragon race. So, I originally requested Ja-eum. I petitioned to liberate us from purple soul filling the heavens. But he refused. He said that we were nothing more than chess pieces of great beings like Blood-een, Hein-eum, and Ja-eum, saying that there existed no other possibilities for us. And so, I made a resolution. Though no matter what I do, I could never defeat Blood-een, for at least Ja-eum and Hein-eum, for at least those two, I resolved to destroy them, and to break free from the purple soul filling the heavens that bound us and escape from the grasp of true immortals. To break free from our fate of being born as slaves. But, he lets out a hollow laugh. Ultimately, this is how it turned out. Blood-een, Hein-eum, Ja-eum, Senior eliminated them all. And Ja-eum, after extracting the soul of the sea dragon race with the highest realm, me, and embedded it into his body, self-destructed. After reading the history left behind by Ja-eum in his body, I came to understand that Ja-eum had deeply loved the sea dragon race deeply from the very beginning. I cried out for liberation from purple soul filling the heavens, but, as it turns out, our sea dragon race, born from the power of purple soul filling the heavens, would lose our status as a dragon race if its power were extinguished. At worst, we would degenerate into protein clump monstrosities. At best, we might retain some semblance of life, but lose all reason, becoming mere demon spirits. In the end, Yuk Jung lets out a sigh in a voice that sounds drained of strength. I, who once cried out for the liberation of the sea dragon race from purple soul filling the heavens, became the very master of the purple soul filling the heavens that oppresses the sea dragon race. And now, for the sake of the sea dragon race, I am in a position where I must protect purple soul filling the heavens. Isn't it truly laughable? Hurrah! So, what do you plan to do from now on? What else can I do? There is only one path. Yuk Jung's eyes glint. Unlike someone like Ban Ta, who hides his tender heart behind a facade of malice, I will do whatever it takes to quickly find a successor. After that, I will advance to the entering nirvana stage, complete my immortal art, and challenge the true immortal advancement. Then, I will become an immortal beast and engrave the immortal beast bloodline of the sea dragon race into this world. If I can do that, even if purple soul filling the heavens is dissolved, the sea dragon race will not degenerate into beasts. That is my ultimate goal for now. I smile faintly at Yuk Jung's grand aspiration and offer my blessing. I hope you definitely achieve your goal someday. Thank you for your support. After meeting Yuk Jung, who has become the sacred master of the true devil realm, I check on the status of the other esteemed ones of the true devil realm. Briefly, I meet with the Black Fog esteemed one, pat their shoulder, and say, let's do well from now on. With that, my business in the true devil realm concludes. The Nether Ghost realm. I look back on the connections I made there. Cha Joji Wi and his subordinate, and the followers who once served under the Wuji religious order but fled from the Twilight Domain. They are all doing well currently. I secretly repair the puppet bodies of the followers who had fled, and later happen to meet a rather memorable connection. You are. I greet the great being. It is Ui, who had ascended to the Nether Ghost realm at some point. Having reached great completion in the Ghost Immortal Kuei devilish secrets that I taught him, he has fully transformed his nascent soul into a Ghost King and has splendidly ascended to the Nether Ghost realm. The one who was once my follower has now become a powerful cultivator at the mid-4-axis stage, becoming a renowned figure in the Nether Ghost realm. He is one of the few remaining followers of the Wuji religious order. That is who Ui is, so I smile warmly as I look at him. Unlike Hamjin, who fell into corruption, Ui has grown admirably. You've grown well. Unlike some other kids. Haha. Is the Great One talking about Hamjin? You know him? I have met him. He is currently wandering the astral realm in training. He has already turned over a new leaf. And he is already stronger than me. I see. Thousands of years ago, before my battle with Xiao Huiol, I already placed filling the heavens governing view to its maximum on Hamjin and assigned him a task. At the time, He had been infected by both filling the heavens governing view and tainted soul filling the heavens. If you can completely rid yourself of both my filling the heavens governing view and the tainted soul filling the heavens within you, then return to me. That is what I said before kicking him out to the astral realm. If I hadn't given him a mission of such high difficulty, he would have continued to fall into corruption and live a debauched life. In any case, if he has grown stronger and turned over a new leaf, as Yeo says, then it must mean he understood the meaning behind the task I gave him and gained enlightenment. It seems worthwhile to test him Jean one more time and perhaps bring him along in the future. I turn to Yeo and ask him a question. I am planning to embark on a distant journey. Do you have any thoughts of following me? It would be an honor. Please allow me to accompany the Great One. To follow me, even if you have to die once. Yes. Very well. After explaining some of my plans to Yeo, I head to the Black Palace of the Nether Ghost Realm. There, Yeo is waiting for me. It's been a while, Sacred Master Yeo. It's been a long time since I came to the Nether Ghost Realm. The night sky is remarkably clear today. It is all thanks to Senior, who either beat those entering Nirvana true persons into unconsciousness or forced them to advance. Currently, the number of true persons of the Source River faction are about 28. The rest were pushed into advancing and were unable to accept death, falling into the underworld. It is said they are being judged. The remaining true persons are currently in hibernation for a long time, recovering from their fatal injuries. If you wish, I will assist the remaining true persons in their true immortal advancement as well. Ho, there is no need for that. In any case, the night sky of the Nether Ghost Realm will remain clear for a while. That alone is enough. After sharing some light conversation, we gradually shift to discussing the true matter at hand. By the way, there is something I must ask, Sacred Master Yeo. What is it? Who is the Distinguished One exactly? I voiced the question I've been harboring for some time. According to rumors, she is said to be a fragment or split soul of the reincarnation Judge Yusu Ryan. From what I've experienced, she is not simply a vessel for the oldest one. Above all, the one who possesses the powerful presence of being Co Rant's mother is her. Though it was said that the split soul is Co Rant's mother, and she isn't truly Co Rant's mother. If that is the case, just why did she send a split soul to the head realm in the first place? What is your true identity? Why did you send a split soul to the head realm? After the death of the reincarnation judge, why does someone of your caliber, who could have gone to the underworld to become a reaper, remain here to be a sacred master? May I ask about this? At my question, Yeo smiles meaningfully. Originally, I would have no reason to tell you even if you reached true immortality, but I sense the workings of the Imperial Venerable in the Distinguished One's death. Have you met the Imperial Venerable? If you mean the oldest one, then yes. Before my advancement to true immortality. I see. In that case, your presence before me must also be by their will. As you are deemed worthy, I shall tell you. As she reveals her identity, I feel as though my eyes might pop out of their sockets. I am both the split soul and the former immortal treasure of the reincarnation judge, Yusu Ryan. At the same time, I am also an aspect of her elder brother, the chief judge Yu Haoti's seat of good and evil. I am the incarnation of the seat of good. Chapter 557, World of Sun and Moon, 8. What did you just say? Yeo is saying she is the seed of virtue that Blood-Een searched so desperately for. As I am flustered, she hands me a cup of plum tea and speaks. Please do not misunderstand. I have only become the incarnation of the seed of good. I am not the seed of good itself. Then, what exactly do you mean by being the incarnation of the seed of good? First, I need to explain at least a part of what happened back then. However, I must ask for your understanding that I cannot tell you everything. The Imperial Venerable would not permit it. I will listen to what you can share. Yeo begins her explanation. At that time, Yu Haote assisted the vast cold heavenly lord in a battle against a certain entity and became entangled to the brink of annihilation. However, perhaps due to his mind growing hazy as he neared destruction, he acted in a way that went against his own impartiality. Instead of supporting the being he was meant to assist in the battle, he chose to protect his own blood relative. He chose to save Yusu Ryan, my main body and master. At the final moment, Yu Haote split the seed of good and evil, using his very seed as a medium to revise history. As a result, Yusu Ryan did not completely perish at the final moment. Instead, she merged with the seed of good and managed to preserve her life. Her words mean that the reincarnation judge of the netherworld and the seat holder of longevity, Yusu Ryan, is not dead. Of course, her physical body died and became the nether ghost realm, but her spirit is undoubtedly still alive, intertwined with the seed of good. And after the war of the vast cold heavenly lord ended in defeat, her main body ended up being bound deep within the head realm along with the seed of good. That is why I, who is essentially a split soul of the reincarnation judge, came to exist in a state akin to being an incarnation of the seed of good. Afterwards, when Blood Ian came to his senses, he desperately tried to save his sister Yusu Ryan's true soul, who also became half of his authority. Wait. Then why did Blood Ian suddenly abandon the seed of good and instead attempt to switch to the seat of abundant offspring? Because she was consumed by the head realm. Not long ago, I observed Senior entering and exiting the head realm. Senior Baekwon seemed unable to perceive it, but perhaps due to my affiliation with the underworld side, I could observe it. In any case, since you entered and returned from the head realm, you must have seen it, yes? At her words, I let out a faint sound of agreement. I had seen it. The beings of the head realm, endlessly repeating, those consumed by the head realm, end up living eternally for infinite time as puppets. They eventually end up losing their ego and completely perish, becoming a part of ancient force. Blood Yin's concern gradually grew deeper, and one day, he contacted me. He told me to send a fragment to the head realm. He wanted to see if my fragment and the immortal art he had imbued within it would resonate simultaneously with the seed of good. However, no. You lost contact with the fragment. Yes. After reincarnating my fragment into the Black Ghost Valley of the head realm, it sought to establish contact with Blood Yin's immortal art by searching for clues about the immortal art from the librarian of the Black Ghost Valley. From that point on, the connection with my fragment was severed. I know what happens next. Yuo's fragment gained self-awareness, fell in love with one of Seo Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens, and gave birth to Seo Ran. After losing connection with my fragment, Blood Ian seemed to fully accept his sister's death. From that point on, Blood Ian completely abandoned his pursuit of the seed of good that he already partially gave up on and fully committed himself to the plan of the seed of abundant offspring. Does this explanation suffice? It's shocking. I click my tongue in astonishment. At the same time, a question arises. There is something I've been curious about for some time, but what exactly is a seed? Now that I have become a true immortal, I have a general sense of it to some extent, but I am unsure what it is exactly. Since Sacred Master Yuo is someone deeply knowledgeable about the immortal family, I believe you can answer this. A seed is, well, haven't you already grasped it to some extent? After all, if you've become a vestige liberation immortal, you must have seen the path. That is correct. The thing at the very end of that path, that is the seat. For now, I take it you are not familiar with the titles that correspond to the positions of true immortals. If you would teach me, I would be most grateful. Yuo begins to explain to me about the positions of true immortals. First, those who initially reach the realm of true immortality are called vestige liberation immortals. These are individuals who have shed their physical bodies in the entering nirvana stage and fully embraced life and death itself. I am aware up to that point. The second realm of immortals is called upper immortal, Sangshan. More specifically, it is divided into heaven upper immortal, Tianchangshan, and earth upper immortal, Dishangshan. In this realm, the form of a true immortal starts to solidify properly. Additionally, this is the realm where one determines which path to follow. It must be the pathways of fate and history. One could say so. Here, the distinction between heaven immortals and earth immortals, that is, heaven immortals and immortal beasts, become clear. Since you have already become a vestige liberation immortal, you must have realized by now that for you, the distinction between the heaven tribe and earth tribe has already disappeared. I nod in agreement. Indeed, since the moment I rose to the true immortal plane after gaining control of the three planes, and shed my physical body, I ceased to be either heaven tribe or earth tribe. Being born as an earth tribe does not mean one must become an immortal beast, nor does being born as a heaven tribe mean one must become a heaven immortal. Birth is merely a stepping stone to controlling either the plane of chi or the plane of fate in order to rise to a higher plane. Of course, choosing the path aligned with the plane you've mastered is much more advantageous, but the important thing is that the realm of vestige liberation immortal has an overview of all possibilities. Therefore, if you come to choose a path, please do so carefully. The path of fate is undoubtedly convenient and terrifyingly powerful, but a fate once spoken aloud cannot be taken back. Yuo warns me with a serious expression. However, her words seem to subtly advise me to choose the path of an immortal beast over that of a heaven immortal. I will take heed. After the realm of upper immortal, where one chooses between heaven upper immortal and earth upper immortal, comes the next realm that is called Great Net. It is also called Great Net Immortal. One becomes a net that binds the true immortal realm, engraving one's own laws into the world, and, just as one mastered the planes of chi and fate in the entering nirvana stage, one begins to take control of a portion of the true immortal plane. From this realm onward, a true immortal can open a middle realm within their own body. I see. True immortals below the realm of Great Net split into the interdimensional void upon death and become decaying corpse realms. But starting from Great Net immortals, they turn into middle realms. That is correct. Regardless of how they die, true immortals function as worlds where living beings can thrive. And, as I mentioned, Great Net immortals who have partially mastered the true immortal plane reach the end of the path they have followed. This is where the fates of the vast majority of Great Net immortals are decided. An illusion appears before my eyes. It is an inverted cone. At first, I see small, bug-like clumps clinging to the inner surface of the inverted cone. But soon, the shapes of those clumps grow clearer and more distinct. They resemble birds. The birds then take flight from the surface of the inverted cone and begin to rise from within it. UO is projecting an illusion before my eyes. The illusion formed of ghostly energy almost seems like a diagram explaining the realms of true immortals. Inside the inverted cone, wind is blowing. The birds ride the current of their chosen wind, flying freely within the inverted cone. These birds are Great Net immortals. They have fully mounted their path and have become able to freely manipulate the Sumer world. The wind they ride is their path. Just as a bird hatches from its egg, takes form, and flies through the sky with its wings, Great Net immortals are birds that can now take flight. They can freely engrave the path they have followed, their law, and make their middle realm a world that all mortal beings in the Sumer world can ascend to. Ordinary birds diverge from this point. Before I realize it, the illusion of the birds expands further. Will they fly low, living by catching bugs, or will they ride even higher updrafts and rise to the sky? Looking closely, I notice that they are actually people with bird wings. Some do not soar towards a higher sky, instead circling in lower altitudes. However, some birds ride their chosen wind upwards, flying even higher to ride the rising updrafts. Among these birds, a few pierce through the clouds and reach the sky, only for their wings to burn and perish. But one bird, whose wings do not burn, succeeds in fully catching the ascending updraft and soars perpetually, never falling and forever flying in the sky. Someday, even this bird may burn away from the heat. However, until then, this bird will soar high in the sky, seizing control of the wind it rides, flying freely wherever it wishes. These are beings who have completely taken control of their path, the wind they ride, and have become significantly free from attraction force. These are the beings closest to the sky. These are the ones who have transcended Great Net immortals and can be said to be the pinnacle of true immortality, an immortal lord. An immortal lord of the fate pathway is called Heavenly Lord. An immortal lord of the earth pathway is called a true lord. Only then do I finally gain a clearer understanding of seats. One's chosen path, seizing control of the wind one rides, is the one who seizes control of their seat. Is this the way to become a seat holder? That is correct. There are countless laws and principles, Tao, in this world, and there is a place that can be called their origin. That is what we call seats. It is also referred to as the origin essence, Ganyanxing, or the origin source, Ganyansa. The seat is a symbol of law, but at the same time, it is a sacred sanctuary, Sungso. Only those who enter this sanctuary can be called seat holders or immortal lords. As I solidify my understanding of the realms of true immortality, I ask a question about what I have seen. I have a question. At the end of the path I saw the Great Mountain Supreme Deity. Is reaching the place where the Great Mountain Supreme Deity resides how one becomes a seat holder? That is not the case. The Sanctuary of Origin is not a place anyone can enter. One sanctuary per one. Except for special cases, every seat has only one seat holder in the end. Furthermore, only those who completely seize the seat, turning the origin source of the law into their own audience chamber and throne, are those who transcend all limits and boundaries of true immortality to become supreme deities. The bird that had ridden the rising updraft and soared higher and higher into the sky has at some point become the wind itself that loudly blows through the sky. The bird that was riding the wind has become the wind, becoming a storm that occupies a place in the sky and sweeps through everything beneath the heavens. Now, no matter how high the bird flies, it no longer burns to death. No matter how far it flies, it no longer grows weary. For the bird has already become the law itself. Pasasasa. At that moment, Uo scatters the illusion. Only today do I finally grasp the hierarchy of the realms of true immortality. Vestige liberation immortal. Heaven upper immortal, earth upper immortal. Great Net immortal. Immortal Lord. Above that is the governing immortal, which completes the realms of true immortals. And, watching Uo, I let out a low murmur. Then, those who follow a path upon which a supreme deity was born. That is correct. Beings under the path of a supreme deity may easily reach the realm of Great Net immortal, but they can never become seat holders, in other words, immortal lords. In short, to become an immortal lord by following this path, I will have to fight and defeat the great mountain supreme deity while still in the state of a great net immortal? Yes. Suddenly faced with an overwhelming goal, I feel my mind go blank. Defeat that great mountain supreme deity as a great net immortal? Does that even make sense? Feeling my mind grow faint, I let out a groan. Should I change my path? As if sensing my concern, Yuo smiles brightly and speaks. Coincidentally, there happens to be a vacancy for the seat of Vice that was recently retrieved by the underworld. Why not aim for the immortal lord position of Vice and take a step on the path of Vice here? The underworld would welcome Senior most warmly. I will decline. More importantly, just how can the seat of good and evil be split into the two seats of virtue and vice? Can something called the origin essence be split in such a way? Something that is the root of absolute law? You misunderstand. In this world, there are only about 3 things that can be called absolute: fate, history, and death. Nothing else can ever be absolute. That includes the origin essence. It is not without reason that I used wind and updraft to represent the path and origin essence of true immortals. Huaithai, the wind swirls in Yuo's hand. Though it is called origin essence, it is closer to the concept of a place rather than a property or a symbol. Yet, at the same time, it possesses no distinct form or shape. That is the wind. Regardless of the shape of the wind when one faces it, or how one rides it, that is the freedom of all beings. The wind can merge, split, change direction, or alter its form. The shape and direction of the wind, the way one meets the wind, are all determined solely by the one who rides it. Huiyi, the wind refines itself in Yuo's hand. The wind compresses, becoming a blade at times, a cool breeze at others, or even a scorching gust. Yet all of these are simply the same wind. What matters is interpretation. Depending on how beings interpret that wind, its form changes, and so does how it is received. If it is interpreted as something indivisible, it would remain indivisible. But if good and evil is interpreted as being able to split, then it splits. If it is interpreted as good, it becomes good. But if it is interpreted as evil, it turns evil. The most representative example is the seat of good and evil. And I can't help but flinch at her next words. The interpretation of the seat of Salt Mountain, which was once praised as a noble and sacred power. Yet, even though the same seat of Salt Mountain was obtained, the seat of the devil god, the great mountain supreme deity, that is described as a vile, horrifying, and fearful power, is entirely different. So even the same repentant enlightenment can call forth entirely different authority depending on the interpretation? That is right. Strictly speaking, it does not call forth a different authority. Rather, the direction of the authority changes entirely. I smile bitterly and offer a bow to Yuo. That must be a starting point by which a great net immortal could confront a supreme deity who has seized a seat. I must perform more repentant enlightenments than the great mountain supreme deity, derive more interpretations, and assert my interpretations more powerfully. If it is not a pure battle of authority, but one of proving the correctness of interpretations, then that would be the key to defeating the great mountain supreme deity. You grasp it quickly. However, defeating an opponent in this manner will be a despairing level of difficulty. This is because while Senior interprets the seat, your opponent will never be simply playing around. Furthermore, the one with the greatest authority to interpret a seat ultimately lies with its owner. That is why I suggest you take a different path. If that different path happens to be aligned with us of the underworld faction, all the better. Thank you for your consideration. However, now that I have obtained a starting point on how to confront the great mountain supreme deity, that alone is enough. From here on, I will handle it myself. Because, come up. I briefly close my eyes, recalling Guac Am's single statement. They are undeniably hateful and loathsome. But at the same time, I must determine outcome with them no matter what. They are my senior brother. For that reason, I cannot leave them in that state. Therefore, even if it is despairing, I will walk the mountain path. Hearing my words, Yuo lets out a soft sigh and nods. How regrettable. The seat of vice truly suited Senior. Hearing that, I feel a sense of déjà vu that has lingered since earlier and decide to ask. From the moment I first met Sacred Master Yuo, I've had a feeling of déjà vu. And that feeling only grew stronger since the moment Sacred Master suggested I aim for the seat of vice. For some reason, I have this thought, that this déjà vu I am feeling, you are feeling it too. The reason I asked Sacred Master about seats and the many other questions were all because of this sense of déjà vu. A true immortal's intuition should be close to the truth, no? Please tell me, do you know the cause of this déjà vu? Yuo, for some reason, feels all too familiar. It feels as though we certainly met before. It is not simply the feeling of her as the incarnation of the oldest one. It definitely feels like I've met her before. It's not related to Co Ran or Co Huil either. I've never encountered a fragment of you, in the head realm. And yet, why is it that I feel such déjà vu when I see you? Déjà vu. Ho ho, I have a suspicion. What is it? Senior, surely, has met the seed of virtue in the head realm at some point. Isn't that so? Yuo seems both happy and somewhat sorrowful as she continues speaking with a complicated expression. Contrary to what Bloodine predicted, my main body is still alive. That is why Senior felt déjà vu when you saw me, and that is why I felt déjà vu when I saw Senior as well. Ho ho, if Bloodine had known this, he wouldn't have given up. Oh. Senior, please think back carefully to the people you met when you were in the head realm. The main body fused with the seat of virtue. Yu Su Ryan surely must have been among them. I finished my tea, frozen in place. Someday, if a being from the head realm emerges that you are certain must be Yu Su Ryan, please let me know. For the sake of Yu Hao Te, who has completely departed, for the sake of me, and for the sake of the Imperial Venerable, that person will surely hold great significance. Understood. If I ever come across a being I am confident is that entity, I will let Sacred Master know. Having finished speaking, Yuo rises from her seat, mentioning that there is administrative work she needs to handle. It feels like an attitude of saying that she has said everything she intends to convey to me. Perhaps the information Yuo conveyed was information indirectly delivered to me by the oldest one. With that, all matters in the Nether Ghost realm are now resolved. Thus, carrying Yuo's request on my back and the shocking truths in my chest, I leave the Nether Ghost realm. Author's note. I had originally planned to conclude the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain memory recollection today, but the amount of information felt too dense, so I've split it up a bit. The Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain episode should end tomorrow. As for the Seed of Virtue, I'm still debating how to handle it. Whether to introduce it directly in the story or leave it as a MacGuffin. Either direction seems like it would be fun. For now, the Seed of Virtue itself is definitively tied to one of the characters from the Head Realm arc. I hope you'll have fun trying to guess who it is. As always, thank you. Chapter 558, World of Sun and Moon 9. Bright Cold Realm. Kururum. As I enter the Bright Cold Realm, the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the realm trembles briefly. Baekwoon has noticed me entering. Wawoon. Light flashes as if it is about to burst, and a certain ripple radiates from Baekwoon's position. It is a signal. Baekwoon is sending a message to the true immortals of Radiance Hall that I have entered the Bright Cold Realm. How thorough you are, Baekwoon. I briefly glare at Baekwoon and laugh. She immediately sends the signal upon discovering me, but my main body is outside the Bright Cold Realm, preventing the message from leaking outwards, so my location isn't revealed to the true immortals of Radiance Hall. After ensuring that none of the signals leaving the Bright Cold Realm reach their other destinations, I cast a brief look at Baekwoon before heading off to find my yearn for connections. The first place I visit is the Black Ghost Valley. The human race has, at some point, reclaimed its original territory. Although Kong Minhee contaminated much of the human race's land, once the death energy scattered to some extent, it unexpectedly became the optimal territory for cultivation for the Black Ghost Valley. For that reason, Black Ghost Valley now stands as the foremost sect of the human race, wielding overwhelming influence. I enter the deepest part of Black Ghost Valley and meet their leadership after a long time. This is unexpected, for you to have entered this place. See Cult Leader. The current leaders of the Black Ghost Valley. They are Wei Shirhan and Eum Hua, the married couple who were once members of the Wuji religious order. Both have now reached the early integration stage, having cultivated based on the ghostly energy Kong Minhee left behind. From what I hear, Eum Hua was once the vengeful spirit of a human, while Wei Shirhan became a Jiangshi after his spirit possessed the corpse of a dead human. Because of this, they were able to be accepted as part of the human race. Of course, it's probably more because it was an opportunity to accept the combat power of an integration stage grand cultivator couple. They wouldn't have cared whether they were ghostly creatures or whatnot. I laugh as I look at the two trembling before me. Do not be too afraid. I did not come here to reprimand you for leaving the Wuji religious order and entering the Black Ghost Valley. Rather, seeing that you are doing well here puts my heart at ease. Ringo vs. The ghostly couple, who are both among the few remaining members of the Wuji religious cult and hold a special place for me, let out a sigh of relief and smile at my words. We are grateful, Cult Leader. We had only heard that Cult Leader was attacked by a true immortal after advancing to the entering Nirvana stage. I have ascended to true immortality. Is that really true? Their eyes widen, and their mouths gape in astonishment. We exchange a few words of conversation for a while. After some time, I ask them a question. I will soon embark on a journey to a distant world. Would you perhaps wish to follow me? At my words, they exchange glances before showing troubled expressions. From their faces and intent alone, I can already tell. I understand. It seems to be a difficult matter. Oh, our apologies. We have a child. Although they are deceased beings, they tell me they now have a child. At their level of cultivation, where a child can be born not through sperm and eggs, but through the combination of heaven and earth spiritual energy, it isn't strange for ghostly creatures to conceive a child. I see. If it is the human race, then it will also serve as a safe shield for you. I wish you and your family continued good fortune. Thank you, cult leader. We offer our deepest gratitude. The couple bows to me before approaching to tell me something. And, cult leader, this is something we learned only after joining the Grand Cultivator Association and accumulating merits. But it is something cult leader must know. What is it? It is about the origins of the Grand Cultivation Association leader, Junjie. Junjie's origins. From their following words, I come to learn a very intriguing fact. Junjie, I see. Understood. From what I hear, Junjie is a being born with the bloodline of the immortal beast Pangu, and his homeland is not the sun and moon heavenly domain, where we reside, but rather the elephant nose heavenly domain. They say the elephant nose heavenly domain shares some similarities with the nature of the ancient force realm in that only the chosen ones can enter. In that case, if I ever have to go there, Junjie can serve as the key. After carefully organizing the information I heard from Wei Shirhan and Eumwa in my mind, I set out for Penglai Palace. In the Penglai Palace I am visiting after a very long time. The person seated in the position of Palace Lord is a very familiar presence. It is Yunjin. It has been a while, Yunjin. Yunjin, seated on the throne of the Penglai Palace Lord, has already reached the 4-axis stage. He gazes at me briefly before wordlessly pulling out a bottle of liquor from a storage scroll. Care for a drink, elder? Sure. I share a drink with Yunjin for some time. Penglai Palace Lord Han 1. Before the previous Palace Lord was taken away to Elder Cedarwood painting, he said, when the time comes for me to die, I will transmit the information of my successor. And, when his time came, Han 1 placed my name in the position of successor. I wanted to figure out why such a thing happened. However, I couldn't uncover the truth. I've been waiting for the day Elder would return. He pours me a drink and asks, what is the truth, Elder? Was Han 1 mad? Or, just as my ancestor, Yun Wei, had hoped, did Han 1 come to his senses? I drink and reply, it was just as Yun Wei had wished. The two died holding each other. I see. Yunjin downs his drink in one go. Senior, what is it? At your level, Senior, could you perhaps grant me the 5 blessings axes? Do you desire it? I know it is shameless, but please, in consideration of Senior's friendship with Elder Yun Wei, I implore you, please grant me the 5 blessings axes. Wawoom. I draw out a portion of the 5 blessings energy within me and implant it into Yunjin's body. I have condensed the power of the 5 blessings axes and planted it as seeds within you. When you conduct your axes foundation practice in the lower realms from the bright cold realm, the 5 blessings axes will form around those seeds. Thank you. With this, at least, I'll have some foothold within Penglai Palace. He smiles faintly and speaks. Ancestor Yun Wei once told me about the secret of our family name. Your family name? Yes. The surname Yun, has the meaning of pawn. Yunjin begins to explain. Originally, my ancestor, Elder Yun Wei, was an orphan before becoming a disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. She said she had no surname, only the name, Wei. The only surname she received was the Jin surname, bestowed by the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. However, during the catastrophe 50,000 years ago, she voluntarily renounced the Jin surname, and the surname she created for herself was the Yun surname. Yunjin drinks his liquor and continues speaking. Why would she choose the surname Pond? I once asked her that, and she replied saying this. Long ago, the person she loved the most was a person like a mountain. Though they are separated now, if by any chance, if by the slightest chance, that person like a mountain returns, it was to welcome them back again, to become a pond that accepts the soil they accumulated. That is why she chose the surname Yun. If it's Elder, you must know, right? Who the person my ancestor referred to is. I know. Yes. It is none other than the former Palace Lord, who is also my ancestor, Han 1. To be honest, I hate Han 1. I hate the things he left behind, and I hate the things he did to my ancestor. I even hate his descendants. If you think about it, they are distant relatives of mine, but those damned Han bastards keep proposing political marriages with me, regardless of whether they're men or women. It's driving me insane. Elder must know of that Han Wei person, right? It's that woman who clung to Elder. She keeps making a fuss about getting married, and I feel like I'm about to lose my mind. I truly despise everything Han 1 left behind. Crack. The glass in Yunjin's hand fractures. But still, I have to protect it, don't I? Yunjin, his face slightly flushed as if slightly drunk, gives a bitter smile. Because my ancestor definitely cherished it all. After all, she hoped for it to continue. Therefore I will become stronger. I will grow stronger and stronger until I seize control of Penlai Palace. I will claim the position of Penlai Palace Lord that no one can challenge. I listen to Yun Jin's resolve and smile faintly. That is why I requested the 5 blessings axes. Thank you for granting my request. More than the 5 blessings axes, it seems you needed me to settle your heart. You could say so. You've grown, Yun Jin. Yun Jin is no longer the cute Yun Jin I once knew. He is now growing into an adult. The drinks were good. I'll take my leave now. I hope you reach the integration stage. Yes, please take care. And, Wawoon. I begin to reveal my presence while in my split soul state. Puckwhack. Swords of glass begin to spurt from Yun Jin's entire body. His eyeballs explode, dissolving into fine white powder that flows out. His body begins to transform into something unrecognizable, whether it's glass or salt, and he cannot even scream as he writhes in agony. I hope you succeed. Wawoon. I infused Yun Jin with as much wisdom of the great mountain-splitting emperor technique as he can endure. Afterward, I leave Penlai Palace behind. Bright Cold Realm, True Dragon Alliance. There, I encounter yet another old connection of mine. It is Gyu Ryan, who has at some point become an integration stage demon king. This time, there is no intersection between her and me. Yet, the fact that we shared a connection in a past life does not change. She's already in the mid-integration stage. At this rate of cultivation, she can sufficiently aim for the star-shattering stage. Perhaps, she might even be able to aspire to become a true immortal. Wuwong. I reveal my presence before Gyu Ryan. Kaiawea. Glass swords emerge from her entire body. She burns fiercely before collapsing unconscious on the spot. It's done. I have imparted the wisdom of basic immortal arts to her. I instill an even firmer understanding of various omens, exponentially increasing the probability of her advancement to the star-shattering stage. Blessing Gyu Ryan's future, I head towards Cedarwood Grove. Cedarwood Grove, the territory of the Heart Tribe. There, I once again see countless members of the Heart Tribe. And, amazing, I click my tongue as I see how many members of the Heart Tribe have already reached the first step before the throne. Some of them are even nearing the enlightenment of the second step before the throne. What's even more surprising is the Bright Cold Martial Alliance. Initially, it was an alliance formed solely by the human race under Kim Young-hoon. But now, the Bright Cold Martial Alliance has accepted other races and has become a place to train in martial arts together. A group not for humans, but one that exists for the sake of justice. That is what the Bright Cold Martial Alliance has become. The human race in the alliance have been making many martial arts tailored to the Heart Tribe. Just as martial arts in the Head Realm were originally based on the movements of demon spirits and the cultivation methods of cultivators. They are now devising internal energy methods based on the methods of the Heaven Tribe to strengthen the frail bodies of the Heart Tribe, while also drawing inspiration on the movements of the Earth Tribe to elevate the capabilities of the Heart Tribe. The human race, once regarded as one of the most wicked races in the Bright Cold Realm, has now become a group within the martial alliance that inherited Kim Young-hoon's will and practices righteousness. This is good. I merely observe the Heart Tribe, looking down from above without interfering. I only leave fragments of the impermanence stored in the heart essences of a select few who show promise, then leave Cedarwood Grove. They are all sincerely devoted to the training of martial arts. For that reason, even if I descend among them to teach, they would all be consumed by suicidal thoughts and rush at me to die. It would be better to simply leave behind the starting point of severing heaven through the impermanent sword. Moreover, even without me, the seeds left by Kim Young-hoon have already begun to sprout. His seeds will someday grow into towering trees, forming a forest, Wooleen, of martial arts. There is nothing more for me to do here. Having left my trace in Cedarwood Grove, I make my way to the Azure Heaven Creation Sect for one final visit. The Great Azure Heaven Creation Sect, the sect of Oh Hyunsuk, and my sect as well. There, I arrive at the grave of Azure Tiger Saint. Trickle, trickle. So he passed during his heavenly tribulation. Advancing to the integration stage is no trivial matter. Even those with talent must temper themselves with life or death resolve and meticulous preparation, or they will perish. That is the integration stage advancement, heavenly tribulation. How could a grand perfection 4-axis endure the hundreds of streams of heavenly tribulation descending from all 6 directions? 1,000 years ago, he passed while attempting to advance to the integration stage. 1,000 years before I awakened, Azure Tiger Saint reached the grand perfection 4-axis stage and attempted to advance to the integration stage. Standing before his grave, I read the history lingering over it and pour a drink with a bitter expression. So many connections vanish, progress, and intertwine. In the brief span of 3,000 years, so many events have unfolded. Goodbye, Azure Tiger Saint. After bowing to Azure Tiger Saint, I rise into the sky and head to my final destination in the bright cold realm. Heavenly Lotus Mountain, White Jade Pavilion. Patit. This is the place Sacred Master Baek Woon resides. Tatit. As I exert my will, I instantly arrive inside the White Jade Pavilion. Baek Woon trembles as she greets me. The moment this immortal arrived, you very enthusiastically sent signals out beyond the bright cold realm. Sacred Master Baek Woon. Sacred Master Ban Ta's been longing to see Senior. Senior knows, does he not, that even during the Sacred Master days, he followed Senior around. That is probably because I was at the Sacred Vessel stage at the time. Now that I have become a true immortal, I doubt he would even pay me any attention. Baek Woon, listen, please give me your command. As a devotee of Radiance Hall, I know you tried to sell me out more than once. Even just 3,000 years ago, the one who called upon the great sun Heavenly Lord was you, was it not? If it is this immortal, I could kill you immediately through a prophecy. However, I will show mercy. Fulfill one request. What is it? Wawoom. I summon a list of my past connections and their factions within the bright cold realm and hand it to Baek Woon. Look after them. If you do, I will overlook your insolence. After all, it would be better for you to exchange favors and live at ease than to live while being the target of resentment of an ominous true immortal from the head realm. No? Whether you are a devotee of light or not, this immortal has the ability to hunt and kill at least you. Will you accept? Baek Woon looks at the list I hand her and sighs before speaking. I shall accept your command. You thought well. With that, I entrust Baek Woon with those remaining in the bright cold realm and leave for the astral realm. Wawoom. I hear it. It seems you wise words were not lies. When I focus, I sense Hamjin calling out my name while focusing on cultivation from afar. I channel my consciousness to Hamjin and ask him a question within his subconscious. Hamjin, if I were to move to another heavenly domain, would you follow me? Hamjin appears to deliberate over the question rising from his subconscious before soon reaching a conclusion. Gladly. Good. Seeing this, I quickly fly towards the lightning sacred sea. Clang Wawoom. Yangsung split soul. As I throw in the celestial sphere, the great desolate path begins to activate. Golden shaking bird enters the interior of the great desolate path with me, and Yeo, perhaps having been properly taken care of by golden shaking bird, causes no reaction from the great desolate path. I turn to look at Hong Fan, who is watching me from outside the great desolate path. Well then, I'm off. Hong Fan. Yes, master. When you arrive at the bearing tree heavenly domain, please summon me right away. All right. Then goodbye. Pop. Hong Fan pops his own head, taking his life. Feeling the attraction force of Yu and Hamjin, who are thinking of me, I kill them both in a single strike. While I directly asked Yu, I only questioned Hamjin through his heart as a small form of punishment. Regardless, Hong Fan and the two of them will now pass through the outskirts of the underworld and resurrect in the bearing tree heavenly domain. Golden shaking bird performs a hand sign, and I follow by forming the same hand sign. Well then, shall we be on our way, elder? Yes, let us depart. Wuwong. The components of the celestial sphere within the great desolate path begin to rotate, painting the surroundings in thunder and lightning. The will of the great desolate path speaks to me. Where do you wish to go? To the bearing tree heavenly domain. Kugagugagu. And with a sensation of violent shaking from the great desolate path, golden shaking bird and I leap across the vast space-time. Chapter 559, Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain. Quajijijijic. An overwhelming lightning tribulation. The interdimensional void of the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain, Middle Realm Zone. One of the 48 Middle Realm Zones of the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain, the Myriad Laws Realm, Wanfajet. There, a crimson blood shark race is undergoing a nascent soul stage advancement tribulation. Kururum. The golden lightning tribulation madly strikes the entire body of the blood shark race demon beast. Then, at a certain moment, flash, a large crack forms on the forehead of the blood shark race demon beast, and its entire body begins to collapse. And no, the blood shark cries out with despair-filled eyes. I can't die like this. It's unfair. Unfair. There are still so many things I haven't accomplished. It's unfair. At that very moment, flash, the lightning tribulation suddenly amplifies. Ah, damn it. For it to amplify at the last moment. Is advancing to the nascent soul stage truly this difficult? Just as the blood shark is about to give up on life. From within the amplified lightning tribulation, two shapes burst forth. One is a candle flickering with a fusion of glass-colored flames and aurora light, and the other is a surging river of countless bird heads sparking with lightning. Qua, the blood shark's eyeballs burst. Glass shards protrude from all over their body, and its entire being begins to disintegrate into scattered lightning. It's unfair. As the blood shark is on the verge of annihilation, Suchapittifulting. Kugugugugu. From within the bizarre candle, a powerful will seems to emanate, sending a certain energy toward the blood shark. The blood shark receives this energy and snaps back to their senses. In that instant, the crack on the blood shark's forehead widens further, and from within, a new form of the blood shark emerges. It is a form that has somewhat taken on the shape of a human. Chwerareric. The blood shark's original body crumbles into husks, seemingly collapsing, but then moves as if alive and envelopes the newly transformed human-like form, becoming her clothing. The once ordinary blood shark race demon beast, Duwa, Da, now possesses crimson hair, surrounded by a subtle glass-colored flame, and her movements are accompanied by golden lightning flickering across her newly transformed body. Quajijijijic. And with her transformation complete, Duwa finally realizes that the hellish lightning tribulation has ended. Having overcome the lightning tribulation, she has risen to the nascent soul stage. As she begins to well up with tears of deep emotion, her body suddenly trembles. Thank goodness. My apologies. That golden shaking bird. She didn't tell me in advance that we can only move to other heavenly domains within lightning tribulation. We almost made you go insane. Duwa feels a chill of terror as she hears a voice from behind her and turns around. There, she sees a human race individual dressed in white standing before her. This human is only at the Chi refining 7th star. And yet, why is it? Duwa's senses are frantically sounding an alarm. Heaven and earth spiritual energy is. In her demon race vision, the being before her is a being completely devoid of the flow heaven and earth spiritual energy. As if an illusion, the heaven and earth spiritual energy permeates straight through the man in white. Yet, at the same time, the man undoubtedly exists in this world. Well, even so, you've gained something good from staring directly at us. I hope you consider this a blessing in disguise. Wararurek. As the man approaches her, the glass-colored flames flowing along Duwa's hair blaze even brighter. Duwa collapses to the ground in fear. Who are thee? Oh great one. I am not tasty. At most, I am just a low-level nascent soul stage cultivator of the blood shark race. Blood shark race. How delightful. To think there are blood sharks even in the bearing tree heavenly domain. This immortal seems to have a deep connection with the blood shark race. Pardon. When the word this immortal escapes the man's lips, Duwa trembles with so much fear she nearly wets herself. Because for someone to refer to themselves as this immortal signifies that they are, at the very least, a quasi-immortal of the entering nirvana stage. Still unfamiliar with her transformed body, Duwa hides her jagged teeth and cautiously asks in a respectful tone, "If I may ask, Elder, do you have any commands for this humble junior?" First, let me explain about us. This immortal is a true immortal who has crossed over from another heavenly domain. I am the crystal glass being Seo Unhyun. TTT true immortal. Duwa begins trembling violently at the realization that the old monster before her is a true immortal. Please spare me. I am far too young to return to thee. Do not worry. This immortal does not simply make anyone return to thee. And this immortal is Golden Shaking Bird. Seo Unhyun reassures Duwa as he reaches out towards the empty void, as though introducing someone. But Duwa sees nothing, and she can only look on in confusion. At that moment, Seo Unhyun scratches his head awkwardly as if hearing something from someone beside him. My mistake. Because of the difference in planes, you cannot perceive her. The immortal named Golden Shaking Bird is also a true immortal, but unlike me, is unable to easily interfere with lower planes. Since she currently resides in the true immortal plane, it seems you are unable to recognize her. Pardon. Duwa finds it difficult to follow Seo Unhyun's words. She cannot understand why an old monster, a true immortal no less, would go out of his way to explain things so kindly to someone like her, a mere nascent soul demon beast. The true immortals she knows are monsters who would typically flood their target with wisdom, vaguely explain the situation, take control of lower realm beings like puppets without asking for consent, and discard them once they were no longer useful. Rather, this kind of considerate behavior only makes it more terrifying because she cannot predict his intentions. Just why is he doing this to me? While she struggles in thought, he speaks again. There is something I wish to request of you. Will you accept my request? Why yes. Please speak, Elder. Terrified, Duwa slams her head to the ground. Though he calls it a request, there is no way she can refuse a request from a true immortal. In that case, wouldn't it be better to devote herself fully from the start? Seeing her reaction, Seo Unhyun looks slightly apologetic as he explains. To be honest, while this immortal is fine, my companion, Golden Shaking Bird, has neither a foundation, followers, nor immortal treasures here in the bearing tree heavenly domain, which makes it a bit inconvenient to operate in the lower realm. So, Would you be willing to become a devotee of Golden Shaking Bird and assist temporarily? I will ensure you are well rewarded. Pardon? A devotee? What does that mean? Just when she expresses her confusion. Pajajajijik. Ah, wah. Powerful lightning engulfs her. At the same time, she collapses on the spot, groaning in agony. The last thing Duwa remembers is the realization that a powerful being is descending using her body as a medium. I narrow my eyes as I look at the blood shark race demon beast lying before me. Pajik, Pajajajijik. The blood shark race demon beast writhes in pain as golden lightning engulfs her, before her transformation body begins to change. Having transformed into the human form of Golden Shaking Bird, she brushes off her body and looks herself over. If it had been a bird demon beast, that would have been ideal. Unfortunately, it's a blood shark race demon beast. Well, it can't be helped. Even though it's only at the nascent soul stage, I can raise its realm to a suitable level. Hey, Golden Shaking Bird. What is it, Elder? I look at her with a slightly displeased expression. I was taken aback when I heard about moving through lightning tribulations, but to think she'd snatch someone else's body so quickly like this. Why did you take over that child's body without permission? I was in the process of obtaining her consent. Elder, just why would we need to seek consent or introduce ourselves to a mere nascent soul creature? Rather, after borrowing her body for a while and raising her realm to at least the 4-axis stage, she'd be so grateful that she'll cry and willingly service my feet. That is true, but no matter what you plan to do for them later, make sure to obtain consent first. You're so strict. Fine, I'll meet this one's consciousness later and obtain her consent. There's no need for that. I place my hand on Golden Shaking Bird's head. Using the impermanent sword, I connect to the blood shark race demon beast spirit and pull her spirit as a form of consciousness. The blood shark race demon beast regains her senses and collapses to the ground, trembling in fear as if realizing what just happened. Inside my body, a true immortal revived, and I've been replaced. I'm going to die. Calm yourself. Wawoom. I forcibly stabilize her mind through a blessing incantation and explain the situation while sharing a brief conversation. For these reasons, we need to borrow your body. Golden Shaking Bird will use it for a few decades and then return it. Your realm can be raised to the 4-axis stage. Of course, not only the 4-axis stage, it could be raised past the Grand Perfection integration stage and reach a level above the integration stage. But you would not be able to handle your own body, so we will raise it only to around the 4-axis stage. What do you say? Hearing my explanation, the blood shark race demon beast who introduces herself as who begins to cry and prostrates herself at my feet, kissing them. Thank you, true immortal elder. Not making me return to thee, but even raising me to the 4-axis stage. I will gladly offer my body with utmost sincerity. Good. Now then, I have some questions for you, so answer honestly. Yes, elder. What would you like to know? First, where exactly are we within the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain? What is the culture here like? How many devotees of light are there? And have you heard anything about a cultivator emitting red lightning recently? Yes, I will explain everything one by one. I managed to get a general overview about the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain from Duwa. First, the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain has an overwhelmingly large number of decaying corpse realms. The number of decaying corpse realms alone count 600 quadrillion. As for the middle realms, there are 48 of them. Moreover, there are even a few great net immortals dispatched from Radiance Hall, effectively bringing the number of middle realms to over 50. I do not know if our universe is called the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain, but in any case, our universe is governed by the faction of light known as the Radiance Hall. Because of this, the number of devotees who worship the light here is no small number. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that 1/10 of our universe's population are devotees of light, especially among the Heaven tribe. The majority are devotees of light. However, among us Earth tribe, there aren't as many devotees. I see. Are there many of the Heaven tribe in this world? The ratio of Heaven tribe to Earth tribe is approximately 1 to 20 or 30. The Earth tribe overwhelmingly outnumbers the Heaven tribe, but the Heaven tribe receives backing from the true immortals of Radiance Hall, learning methods that borrow their authorities. So despite their smaller numbers, their overall power isn't significantly inferior to the Earth tribe. This applies not only to our middle realm, but to the entire universe. Duwa teaches me about the culture and common knowledge of the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain, as well as various other things. And about the cultivator who emits red lightning, I am not too sure. Since learning the lightning path method is prohibited in the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain, if such a cultivator existed, the news would have spread immediately. Of course, it might simply be because my realm is too low to know about such things. But one of the middle realms neighboring us, the Divine Thunder Realm, Sunlei Jade, recently lost its sacred master. There is a rumor that red lightning struck the spot where the sacred master passed away. I see. That is sufficient information. I nod and commend her. After gathering a bit more information, I once again seek her consent before pushing her consciousness deep into her unconsciousness. Pajik. As her mind sinks deep into her unconsciousness, the consciousness of golden shaking bird surfaces, and she frowns. You really handle things in a bothersome manner. It would be much simpler to just tear out her soul and browse through the information. Maybe if it were someone as vile as Yoi. But there's no need to treat an innocent demon race in such a way, is there? Oh, I already miss my master. To think I've fallen from the lightning tribulation of a mere nascent soul-level creature. With the standard of the great desolate path, it shouldn't have been a lightning tribulation of a nascent soul stage creature, but a star-shattering stage, or at least the integration stage. We could have obtained a much better body or devotee if it were beings of that level. For it to be merely a nascent soul stage means Elder must currently be carrying some form of misfortune. Is there anything that comes to mind? Misfortune. I recall the celestial sphere I received from Yang Sung. So even after becoming a true immortal, it still applies that gifts from true immortals bring misfortune. Well, this is why I was afraid, resulting in the naming supreme deity making a deal. But I let out a small sigh of relief. Still, it's fortunate for the misfortune I received from Yang Sung to only be this much. Gifts received from true immortals always become misfortune. However, now that I've become a true immortal, it seems the misfortune I receive has diminished. The closer the gap in realm between me and the giver, the weaker the misfortune I receive seems to become. If I continue raising my realm, someday I might even be able to properly accept gifts. Contemplating this newfound fact, I speak. It seems there was some misfortune I overlooked. My apologies. Humph. If it were my master, he would have prepared plenty of sacrificial offerings to ward off the misfortune, preventing such problems in the first place. Let's hurry and find my master. Let's do that. Wawoom. I draw in the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the myriad laws realm, raising my cultivation realm. In an instant, my realm surges from the chi refining 7th star to the grand perfection heavenly being stage. Golden shaking bird also quickly raises Du Wa's realm to the grand perfection heavenly being stage. Heavenly tribulation rumbles, but as golden shaking bird takes a breath, the entire cloud of the heavenly tribulation is absorbed into her body and vanishes. For now, we should head to the divine thunder realm. But how should we find it? Should I meet an integration grand cultivator to ask? If you're going to ask, it'd be better to find the sacred master of the myriad laws realm and interrogate them. Please stop saying such soft things. And I've been to the bearing tree heavenly domain before, so just follow me. Keying. Under the will of golden shaking bird, the power of celestial energy guidance radiating from Du Wa's body intensifies. At a certain point, the celestial energy guidance transforms into attraction force, twisting the surrounding space. I also strengthen my celestial energy guidance into attraction force, distorting the dimension of the myriad laws realm. Kajigajik. We open a dimensional gate and step out of the myriad laws realm. As soon as I emerge into the interdimensional void of the bearing tree heavenly domain, I narrow my eyes. How gruesome. Throughout the interdimensional void lies the corpses of countless true immortals. The corpses of true immortals, riddled with holes, are the most common sight. There are true immortals that have gigantic trees or flowers blooming from their bodies. There are true immortals that are roasted or melted by flames. There are true immortals sliced apart by sharp blades. There are true immortals bloated with something resembling water, dead swollen or frozen solid. The corpses of innumerable true immortals are scattered across the interdimensional void. Faced with such a gruesome sight, I let out a heavy sigh. However, golden shaking bird doesn't pay them much attention, pointing to a middle realm in the distance. It is the corpse of a true immortal with something long impaled in its stomach. That object looks like a ruler, a sword, or perhaps the hilt of a glaive. Although it is unclear exactly what it is, the energy emanating from it feels identical, suggesting it may have been the true immortal's own immortal treasure during their lifetime. The true immortal bears the scars of being sliced all over their body by a sword, and golden shaking bird gestures toward the body. That is the divine thunder realm. Let us head over there. Golden shaking bird. Joining strengths with her, we fly towards the divine thunder realm using attraction force while I ask her, what in the world is this horrifying scene? Why are there so many middle realms and decaying corpse realms in the bearing tree heavenly domain? Well, you must have already realized by now. Middle realms and decaying corpse realms are all corpses of true immortals. This is the result of the supreme deity who opposed Radiance Hall long ago and the true immortals who followed them. The supreme deity who opposed Radiance Hall? Isn't it obvious? The heavenly punishment supreme deity, Dugon. This bearing tree heavenly domain used to be the heavenly domain of the heavenly punishment supreme deity. However, after it was revealed that they harbored rebellious intent towards the rule of Radiance Hall, the Radiance 8 immortals acted personally. They imprisoned the heavenly punishment supreme deity, slaughtered all 48 great immortals under their command to the point that they couldn't even be resurrected, turned them into middle realms, and incorporated the bearing tree heavenly domain under the direct control of Radiance Hall. I ask in a trembling voice, by great immortal, do you mean great net immortal? Not necessarily. The beginning of the immortal family is the entering nirvana stage quasi-immortal. Beyond the quasi-immortal, those of at least a vestige liberation immortal are called true immortals. Those of at least heaven-earth upper immortal are called upper immortals. Those of at least great net immortal are called great immortals. From immortal lords and governing immortals onwards, there are barely 100 across the entire 3,000 great thousand words, so they are typically addressed by their titles. In short, the corpses of the true immortals lying here consist of not only great net immortals, but also include many corpses of heavenly lords and true lords, who are beyond the realm of great net immortals. The heavenly punishment supreme deity, who cried after all their subordinates were killed, only had their immortal treasure, the heavenly lightning banner left, but even that was later stolen by my master and embedded in the head realm. Isn't my master simply magnificent? Elders should have seen the reaction of the heavenly punishment supreme deity when their immortal treasure was kidnapped by my master. Golden Shaking Bird becomes ecstatic recounting Yang Sujin's tale, while I click my tongue bitterly at the overwhelming power of Radiance Hall. Is this the power of the Light faction? A pinnacle of tyranny, annihilating anyone who refuses to submit to their will. And now, we are being pursued by such beings. Though I'm managing to evade them using the immortal title of Crystal Glass Being, how will the others be faring? Well, crossing the interdimensional void, Golden Shaking Bird and I enter the middle realm known as the Divine Thunder Realm. Pajajajijic. Upon entering the Divine Thunder Realm, we immediately react to the sharp static electricity filling the area. Golden Shaking Bird's eyes roll halfway back. This is the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation Method. Master, it's Master's aura. She flares her nostrils, wearing an ecstatic expression as though she's about to inhale the static electricity, and stares somewhere into the distance. The east of the Divine Thunder Realm. As I look east, I sense through the foresight of a true immortal that heading there will lead me to John Myung-hoon. Out of the countless futures, only the ones where I head east can I meet John Myung-hoon. The new sense I gained after becoming a true immortal is truly mysterious. In my eyes, who seized control of the plane of fate, the future appears like countless grains of sand scattered across the ground. I feel as if I can now cross over to any point I desire within those countless scenes. Back during the Sacred Vessel stage, this ability was limited to within the middle realm, but now, it's possible from anywhere. The act of selecting and solidifying one of the countless possibilities of the future, that is what is called prophecy. But it's a little strange. I suddenly feel uneasy. After becoming a vestige liberation immortal, I gained the ability to use prophecy. But back during the entering nirvana stage, I used powers like the phenomena extinguishing mantra, filling the heavens governing view, canvas of myriad forms and connections, and more, mobilizing all my strength to wield the authority of the immortal art, history revision. At the time, I vaguely thought that becoming a true immortal would make prophecy and history revision easy. Why is it that after becoming a vestige liberation immortal, although my vision of the planes of chi, soul, and fate have been strengthened, I can only use prophecy? I clearly rose to true immortality through heaven and earth dual cultivation and severing heaven, becoming a true immortal through the three great ultimates. Thinking about it now, it feels quite strange. Just then, my master, Pajijic, Golden Shaking Bird begins to emit lightning and quickly flies east, leaving me behind. As I start to chase after her, I suddenly realize that my cultivation realm has fallen once again. Chijijijic. Damn it, this is so bothersome. While obtaining a fortuitous encounter in the head realm, I had managed to partially escape the restrictions of the Northern Dipper Ceiling Immortal Flag. I had slightly broken free of the Chi Refining 7-star restriction. But that restriction isn't entirely lifted. Even after gathering energy up to the Heavenly Being stage, over time, my cultivation will drop back down to the 7th star of the Chi Refining stage. To recover up to the Heavenly Being stage, I have to gather spiritual energy from heaven and earth again. No, wait. Do I really need to bother with this hassle? This is why I got immortal treasures. Wawoom. I retrieve Yi, refined as my immortal treasure, from within my body. Yi seems to have been excellently refined by Golden Shaking Bird during this time. Clang, clang. Black chains coil around the area. At each end of the chains are ornaments resembling a bird's skull and a human skull, while the body of the chain is dyed as dark as the night. This immortal's immortal treasure, twin constructing chains, Songzao, heed my command. Twerek, at my will, Yi, refined into the immortal treasure twin construction chains, trembles. Clang. Soon, the chains of the twin constructing chains gather before me, writhing as they take the shape of a human. What appears is Yi, draped in a black robe with chains dangling all over her body. She trembles and laughs with an expression that looks somewhat deranged, muttering he. Spread your wings, Yi. We're heading east, after Golden Shaking Bird. It's when the name Golden Shaking Bird escapes my lips. Her eyes roll back until they are completely white. Her body trembles violently, and she immediately transforms into the form of a Peng. I am sorry, Miss Golden Shaking Bird. I was wrong. Please forgive me, Miss Golden Shaking Bird. I apologize for killing the disciples of the Blackbird True Star sect in the past. I am nothing but a worthless, garbage immortal treasure. Miss Golden Shaking Bird, please forgive me. Let's just go east. I climb onto Yi's back as she carries me eastward and speak. And I'm not Golden Shaking Bird, but your master, Yi. Remember this well. Hayek. I am sorry, Miss Golden Shaking Bird. It is my fault. Everything is my fault. I am nothing more than a worthless sparrow flapping its wings. No, I am an immortal treasure even less than a bug. Please, do not be angry. It seems that leaving her refinement to Golden Shaking Bird has left her somewhat unstable. Well, considering she was an evil deity whom Golden Shaking Bird had a personal grudge against, there's no need for sympathy. From what Golden Shaking Bird told me, Yi was an evil deity who, regardless of gender, obsessively indulged in lust and cared nothing for the lives of mortals. Perhaps this is simply retribution. In the past, even the Sacred Vessel Sisters condemned her as vile, and not long ago, she harbored impure thoughts and tried to betray me. So, I decide to simply leave it at is. In any case, I quickly ride on Yi, chasing after Golden Shaking Bird. After pursuing her for a while, Golden Shaking Bird finally appears in Yi's sight, causing her to tremble even more and repeatedly mutter, I was wrong. Golden Shaking Bird glances back at us, then stops her flight and flies to my side, landing on Yi's back with me. Well, in our current state, it seems immortal treasures are indeed faster. Let's travel together. That aside, shut up, twin constructing chains. You're incredibly noisy. You up. With just a single remark from Golden Shaking Bird, Yi immediately clamps her mouth shut. I look at Golden Shaking Bird and speak. By the way, she calls me Miss Golden Shaking Bird even after seeing me. No matter what, it should at least have the sense to recognize her owner. Haven't you broken her too much? My apologies, Elder. If you leave it to me, I will retrain it and restore its intelligence. Please do. We move to the eastern edge of the Divine Thunder Realm and sit down for a moment. I glance at the refined Yi and ask Golden Shaking Bird. That aside, while it's convenient in the lower realm, why do other true immortals, who are not sealed like me, use immortal treasures? I can't understand it. Aha, that's because Elder's immortal art is unique. First of all, does Elder know why true immortals cannot descend freely into the lower realm? I know the gist of it. Why is it that, after becoming true immortals who have transcended the three planes, are our actions even more restricted than before? The reason is quite simple. If the three planes are considered a painting, then we are beings who have transcended the painting. A being within the painting could have freely roamed within it. But now, having completely left the painting, if the being tries to reach their hand back into it, the painting would tear apart. In other words, if a true immortal recklessly tries to descend into the lower realm, one of two outcomes will occur. Either the area where the true immortal descends is annihilated entirely along with space itself, or the true immortal is repelled while descending. Beings of at least the great immortal level are free from such restrictions, but, for ordinary true immortals, controlling this is nearly impossible. Rather, it is Elder who is weird for being able to freely enter and exit the painting. Of course, to be honest, the painting tearing is the normal result. If a human sticks their hand into a painting, what painting would push the human out? Normally, it would just tear. So, when a true immortal gets repelled while trying to descend into the lower realm, it is usually for another reason. What is it? The owner of the heavenly domain, the governing immortal. Their power protects the heavenly domain, which prevents ordinary true immortals from recklessly descending. Therefore, to exert influence in the heavenly domain, true immortals sever a much lower-ranked split soul and descend it to the lower realm. As she continues speaking, I begin to grasp the concept of immortal treasures. The split soul, compared to the authority of the true immortal, is akin to a mere drop of blood blending into the painting, becoming part of it. When this split soul descends into the lower realm, enters the painting, delivers the true immortal's prophecy, and is granted a physical body. That is what we call an immortal treasure. I see. So, all immortal treasures are ultimately agents of true immortals, like apostles. One could say so. A split soul refined for exerting influence in the lower realm. And since this split soul can shatter the fate of other true immortals that have descended to the lower realm, attacking them, it becomes both a weapon and a dharma treasure. This is why, since ancient times, true immortals have referred to their apostles as immortal treasures. I recall Zhengli, the one who called herself the agent of the heavenly punishment supreme deity. So she really was an agent in the truest sense. But then, why not use their own split soul instead of capturing sacred vessels to turn them into immortal treasures? An immortal treasure created from a true immortal's split soul usually returns to the true immortal after fulfilling the prophecy it was sent for. Once a prophecy is completed, its function as an immortal treasure disappears. To maintain the immortal treasure, the true immortal would need to keep making prophecies. But what kind of true immortal would welcome such a troublesome task? Sacred vessels are already beings that have become flow itself. If you capture one and connect its flow to your own body, the sacred vessel can act as the sacred master of the true immortal's internal world and can continue cultivating. Furthermore, they can fulfill tasks in the lower realm by giving a revelation instead of having to constantly make prophecies. Because of this, many true immortals capture sacred vessels and use them as immortal treasures. She seems to search for a fitting analogy and then explains it in a simple way. For example, it's similar to how cultivators of ghost path sects capture spirits and refine them into ghost souls to enslave them. Even if an integration stage ghost path cultivator refines a refining void dharma treasure to make a powerful weapon, that refining void dharma treasure would only perform its intended function. On the other hand, if they extract the spirit of a suitable junior and refine it into a ghost soul, it will perform tasks on its own and can also be used as a weapon in emergencies. Why wouldn't they use it? Hearing those words, I feel a bit uneasy about the concept of immortal treasures themselves. If you look at it as something gained by sacrificing others, it's similar to chi-building pills. The advantage is, at least the sacred vessel turned into an immortal treasure gains a powerful backer and can cultivate well as an immortal treasure. But if the true immortal using the sacred vessel as an immortal treasure harbors ill intentions, the sacred vessel would be unable to escape and would literally become an eternal plaything, subject to endless abuse under the true immortal. This is the true nature of immortal treasures. Yoi. This poor Yoi. During her immortal treasure transformation, I briefly transferred the refinement authority to Golden Shaking Bird, leaving her defenseless and subject to abuse. No, wait. If it's according to what Golden Shaking Bird said, why did she capture the sacred vessel sisters and refine them into immortal treasures? Their immortal arts are powerful, but not to the point of being useful as immortal treasures are to true immortals. Suddenly, a memory resurfaces of the sisters referring to Yoi as vile. The sisters' immortal arts were strong, and their appearances matched her tastes, so she captured them, refined them into immortal treasures to render them incapable of resistance, and, I see. Come to think of it, she's not as pitiful as I thought. Golden Shaking Bird, I ask that you properly educate Yoi in the future. I will make sure to educate her thoroughly. Please do not worry. That aside, that is not an individual entity but Elder's immortal treasure, so it's only proper to address it clearly by the name, Twin Constructing Chains. Yoi sheds tears as she listens to the conversation between Golden Shaking Bird and me, and we finally arrive at the eastern edge of the Divine Thunder Realm. Kugugugugu, the eastern end of the Divine Lightning Realm, in the Chaos Realm region. There, I spot a small hut beneath crimson thunderclouds spilling red lightning. Chwereric, I lightly slap Yoi's body, and she reverts to the form of chains, returning to my body and leaving us floating in the void. Golden Shaking Bird, inhabiting Duwa's body, quickly descends and lands in front of the hut below. Perhaps sensing our presence, someone inside the hut opens the door and steps out. It is a man with long hair and wearing a golden robe, tenderly stroking the crispy fried hand of Sohei. It is John Myung-hoon. To the eyes of us, who have transcended the three planes, John Myung-hoon's fate becomes visible. In the plane of fate, his fate glows with a red light, as vivid as blood. The moment we confirm his fate, Golden Shaking Bird bursts into tears and rushes towards John Myung-hoon. John Myung-hoon tries to evade her in panic, but since his realm is still lower than ours, he cannot resist Golden Shaking Bird's prophecy. Please, hold me, master. Puek. She throws herself into John Myung-hoon's arms and cries like a child. It's a cry filled with 120,000 years of resentment. Watching this, I feel a complicated mix of emotions as I slowly descend from the sky. It's been a while, John Myung-hoon. No. The eyes of John Myung-hoon, who perceives me, shrink tightly. Pobo being. John Myung-hoon has begun his true immortal advancement.